How about that? Some good news. During our break, it looks as though the permanent ban of the Ben and Woods channel on YouTube has been lifted, and we are back in business all of a sudden.
This is wild.
Yeah, that was quite the turnaround.
Yeah, it goes
literally during the commercial break.
It goes to show that at least my very rudimentary knowledge of YouTube is that my gut feeling tells me somebody just was reporting us last night over and over and over. They flagged it. They looked at it. Took them 20 minutes. Paulie put that in 20 minutes ago, the appeal. And they go, oh, yeah. I mean, so if you're messing with our YouTube channel, I find out who you are. Do you know what an asp is?
Not the snake.
No, that thing that gets you behind the knee.
It's
just
like
one
telescoping.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to get you with an asp. You won't even know it hits you. Remember in Casino when they cattle prod that guy sitting at the table? You're just going to be walking, and you're just going to feel under your arm. It's going to be your old pal Woodsy zapping you with a cattle prod. It pisses me off, dude. You don't mess with people's money.
Not everybody's happy we're back. Joe on the chat from Facebook says, why can't we just have mostly sports instead of sad, forced attempts at stand-up comedy?
No.
Some shows have it. This one doesn't. In my opinion. That's just his opinion.
Joe, I respect your opinion, buddy. I do respect your opinion.
We're not attempting stand-up comedy. You just don't enjoy our personalities.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
think, Joe, is really the problem here.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Joe, listen. I get it, man. It's not for everyone, to each their own. Yeah, I have a lot of here's the thing, and I've said this for years. There's a lot of things I'm not into. A lot. More so than most. You know what I don't do? I don't go to Jelly Roll's Facebook feed and make comments about Jelly Roll. I am not okay. I saw him last night performing at the LA Fire thing. I don't get it. The first thing I said this morning, my wife walked in the room. I was on my phone, and she goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm wondering why Jelly Roll keeps getting shoved down my throat when he literally can't sing a song. That's what I'm wondering. She's like, okay, I guess we're off and running this morning. That's the first thing I said this morning. So, but the thing is, Joe, I don't go to Jelly Roll's page, be like, hey, man, you don't sing very good. Some singers have it. You don't.
You're not one of them.
That's what's never like made sense in my head. I'm not a big Nickelback guy. Not a big Imagine Dragons guy. I don't go to their feed like, hey man, just so you know, you guys are terrible. Led Zeppelin's way better. All right, see you later. I just don't listen to it. Right? So listen, it is what it is. It is what it is. Joe, I love you, man. I'll give you a big hug when I see you. We are going to talk some sports today. You can rest your pretty little head on that, buddy.
As we always do, at some point.
Yeah.
We will definitely talk Padres with Major Garrett. He's coming up at 6:35. We have a couple of all-time entries for do or don't do this in our 7 o'clock hour.
Like the number one best way to get on Don't Do This is just mention this guy's name in a positive light.
Another day of Padres trade rumors that don't seem to be panning out into anything. The Cubs were the latest one to be in the center of all the discussion, and then now it's back to the Mets again. People talking about Dylan Cease going possibly to New York and what prospects could come back if the Padres do pull off a deal. I think it's very telling, though, that there hasn't been a deal yet. If the Padres absolutely had to trade Dylan Cease, there's plenty of teams that would take him.
Yeah, there's two off the top of your head that are very interested right now. Well, three, actually, that have been rumored recently.
AJ probably doesn't need to beg anyone to take Dylan Cease.
Absolutely, and I think the ask is very high on Dylan Cease, as it should be, and this is one of those deals. If I'm going to part with him, you're going to overpay. It's going to, because we know it's going to hurt us, right? Like, that's a guarantee. You lose Dylan Cease, it's going to hurt. But it needs to hurt you as well, right? And hey, rental, schmental, doesn't matter. You have them for a year. You can win a World Series. So it's going to sting if this happens.
Yeah, they had to do it last year. They did not want to give up Michael King.
They did not
want to give up Michael King.
No, they did
eventually not. Eventually
they did. They tried to put a bunch of other dudes in there, and Preller said, nope, I want King.
It happens once in a blue moon in sports where a trade works out pretty well for both sides. Yeah. Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff worked out pretty well for both sides, for the rare quarterback for quarterback. Yeah. This was one of the biggest trades in the history of baseball, Juan Soto getting moved.
And I'll say right now,
it worked out.
Based on the moves that are the rumored returns, I don't know. I look at it and I saw people going, "Oh my God, I'll drive Dylan Cease to the airport for this deal." And I'm like, how can you say that?
Well, and that is a matter of fan opinion. If you trade a player with 1 year of control, an all-star type player like Dylan Cease, and get controllable assets, you can have an opinion on whether that's a good thing for the Padres or a bad thing, smart thing, or they should be going for it this year. What you can't excuse is just giving away Dylan Cease to clear salary and not getting enough back.
100%.
That's the kind of thing that sets back a franchise. So I'm glad to see that they're not jumping at any offer that they can take, that it needs, as you said, whatever team acquires Dylan Cease, it needs to hurt on their side as well. And then we can evaluate and decide, do we like this? Do we not like this? Overall, is this a better deal for the Padres or not?
It's always that thing where you look at it and go, okay, like on paper, Keith Law said that these prospects are really good. I guess I'm supposed to be excited about it. How many times does that happen where you never really hear these guys' names again? Or, oh, he's hurt. And I understand. And I like getting back top prospects as well, but they are just prospects. The Mets, the Cubs, the Braves, they know exactly, barring injury, what they're getting when they get a Dylan Cease, which is why it needs to sting them more than it stings us.
But is AJ even planning on holding on to prospects if he acquires them? Or is he flipping them for other people, as he's done multiple times? In fact, that's exactly how they got Dylan Cease last year, is by flipping a prospect that they got in the Juan Soto trade in Drew Thorpe. So, again, this is, I think, a good sign that, AJ's holding out and being patient and not just, clamoring that he's got to get a deal done before the start of spring training. So we'll talk some Padres baseball. Obviously, we're getting ready for FanFest tomorrow. We'll be out there live starting at 10 o'clock. We're going to broadcast live from Section 113 from 10 to noon. Looking forward to seeing a lot of the Tier 1s out there, hopefully enjoying at least a nice San Diego day and meeting some of your favorite Padres. Jake Cronenworth's going to be with us near the start of the show at 10:10. The skipper, Mike Schilt, is going to stop by during our show as well. How
fantastic is that?
It is fantastic. And then Andy
really
and Elston going to be on with Trevor Hoffman and Jackson Merrill. And then in the afternoon from 2 to 4, it's Gwynn and Chris. They've got Joe Musgrove and Manny Machado?
No. Musgrove and Cease.
Dylan Cease. That's right. Dylan Cease going to be on tomorrow as well. Everything's a little tentative, obviously. But
Dylan Thief.
I think,
oh, my God. Dylan Thief.
There's a good chance we're going to at least learn something this weekend. How the players are feeling, how Mike Schilt is feeling. There's going to be some information gleaned at FanFest tomorrow.
Dylan Thief. Dylan Thief. That's insane.
All right, I promise you this is not a YouTube scam. We actually have real Tom Arnold tickets to give away right now. You can call now and win a pair of tickets to see
don't report us.
Tom Arnold at National Lampoon, the Yellow Door, this Saturday. Get your own tickets at nlyellowdoor.com/San Diego or win a pair early in the show today. Paulie doesn't have to be on me all day. 833-288-0973. Third caller, 833-288-0973. Hook you up with a pair of tickets to see the show tomorrow. Tom Arnold at National Lampoon, the Yellow Door.
Somebody put in the chat, thief into fifth.
We got one today.
Thief into fifth.
Thief.
We did. And thief into fifth on trading Dylan Thief, man. I'm going to start doing it so much it's going to sound...
Our YouTube channel got a thief into fifth.
It did. It's going to be part of my vernacular now, Dylan Thief.
All right, we're going to check in with Major Garrett, Chief Washington correspondent for CBS News and our East Coast Padres fan-in-chief when we come back with Ben and Woods. First, tell you about Prize Picks. This weekend, get signed up for Prize Picks and start playing fantasy on college basketball, pro basketball, whatever you're watching this weekend. But then you will be ready for the big game next week. Oh, you can start setting lineups now, and there's a free square that you really need to take advantage of. It's 1/2 of one passing yard for Patrick Mahomes. So pick the more and then put that in a lineup, 2 to 6 players, and start winning real money, up to 1,000 times your money with Prize Picks. It's really easy to play. It takes just seconds to download and then just a few more seconds to set your first lineup. But when you do, download the app. Make sure you use the code KWFN because you're going to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup at Prize Picks. And again, you can do basketball. Check out the schedule for tonight's games, college and pro hoops over the weekend. It's really easy to upload and download money when you win. They have MasterCard, they have Venmo, they have Apple Pay. It's really quick. It's really easy. There's millions of players out there, millions of dollars being won every week on Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. I always get like a little tingle when Major Garrett's going to come on.
Oh,
In
yeah.
anticipation, he's actually on hold. I hate making guests wait, but I am going to get to our traffic report. Paulie says Kelly's got about 30 seconds of traffic for us, and then on the other side, we will talk with CBS Chief Washington correspondent and our Padres fan in chief on the East Coast, Major Garrett, next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Continues to be a pretty quiet one around the county, guys, except for one problem near the border. Apparently, somebody came back from partying in Mexico because North 5, right at the border, there is a collision, DUI related. 2 left lanes are blocked, so you see a little activity there. But yeah, trip out of the South Bay, not looking too bad. East County checks out nicely. Even westbound side of the 52, it's doable out of Santee. Not much company for you there. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
As we go out to Major Garrett, first thing on everybody's mind from Washington is the incredible tragedy of the air crash earlier this week. Major, are you in Washington right now? Just what a horrible story that is.
Oh, yes. I'm in Washington, and on that, so Wednesday afternoon, flying back from New York, I landed at DCA on runway 33.
Oh.
I've landed on that runway, I don't know, probably 100, maybe 200 times in my career here in Washington. DCA, Reagan National, very popular, very congested, very safe airport historically. And then this massive, catastrophic tragedy just before 9 p.m. Wednesday night when a Black Hawk Army helicopter flying too high, it appears, above the normal prescribed 200 feet in that area, comes up underneath or in some way collides with the American Airlines flight out of Wichita on final approach, cleared by air traffic control for final approach. And 67 people gone. It's a devastating tragedy for everyone here in the region.
No question. And it really does put things in perspective. I mean, so far the beginning of the year, Major, has been massively about perspective. And I was talking to my eldest yesterday, who, he's got big feelings, and he's like, it's not going to get worse than it is right now. I go, buddy, look around you. There are people 90 miles north of you that don't have a home. They don't have all their stuff's gone. It's gone. And I said, it ain't that bad. It's just not that bad right now. And I think perspective has been much needed in the life of a Padres fan so far this year. It's been a tough one. It's been a murky one, Major, and it cast a bit of a shadow on the beginning of the season, which this is always all of our favorite time of year. Hope springs eternal, but this one, it's been a little murky.
Yeah, this one feels kind of deadening this off season. Not a lot to get your hopes up about. But to your point about perspective, look, I have a good number of friends in the LA area, and all of my friends, their homes survived. But if you read Bill Plaschke's column from a couple of weeks ago in the LA Times, his home survived in the Altadena fire. And if you read that column, it makes something clear that I'm not sure everyone captures, which is even a home that survives, quote unquote, in the fire zone has to be taken down to the studs.
Yeah.
Why? Because it is riddled with smoke. All the furniture has to be trashed. So, yes, your home survived, but not really. Even if you're a quote unquote survivor, you are decimated. And the LA region is decimated and has been living not only with that tragedy, but the anxiety induced by winds and fears ever since. And I don't think that region will ever, anyone who lived through it or experienced this will ever forget that anxiety or put it aside.
Sure.
It will live with them forever. So in the grand scheme of things, as people in the sports industry will often tell you, they are in the toy department of life, which means it's discretionary, it's enjoyable, but it is not essential. The things that are essential, family, life, property, sustainability, and we've been reminded this very brutal month here in D.C. for sure, and in Southern California, how fragile all that is.
Talking to Major Garrett, we love him for his wisdom and his Padres passion. And one thing I really wanted to ask you, you cover powerful people for a living and have done it for a long time. And I wondered, obviously on a smaller scale, what we're doing here, what's going on kind of behind the scenes with the San Diego Padres. What advice do you have to us on how to cover like an issue like this? Because we found it's been difficult over the last few weeks, because we don't know all the facts.
No.
We're not privy to all the documents that are at play in this case, and we don't want to go off the handle and say something that's incorrect or inaccurate. We also don't want to say nothing because it's such a big story. What's your advice on something like this?
It's really hard. I don't have pinpoint, precise advice other than to stick with what is in the public record, evaluate things placed in the public record, and do what you can to ask those who are placing those things in public record if there is a broader context that they can share and explain. This is a really hard situation. I remember being on the phone with you the morning that Peter died.
Yep.
And that to find ourselves here now is the place I least expected all Padre fans and all San Diegans to find themselves, in the midst of what is clearly a embittered dispute. There's no other way to describe it. This does not come into full public view with the allegations laid down in court papers unless there is deep bitterness behind it. It just doesn't. It simply doesn't. And that bitterness is somewhat concealed in the procedural language of legal documents.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be a detective to read between the lines, okay? There are hurt feelings here. There are expectations not met. And the bitterness that is arising from this now clouds the future of the greatest sports asset of America's finest city.
Man,
and that's a really tough place for all of us to be. Really tough place for all of us to be.
As you talked about the homes in L.A., you said something that just jumped out at me. And even the survivors' homes have to be, taken down to the studs. And I think that's the biggest fear of Padres fans who watched this team win 93 games last year, go to the playoffs, probably should have won the World Series if we're being honest. Nobody wants to see this team taken down to the studs. Nobody. And every single day you're putting on Major League Baseball's network and they're saying, "Hey, trade this generational superstar, Fernando Tatis Jr." I don't want to see this organization taken down to the studs. I fear that it could happen in the next few years. I hope it doesn't. I hope whoever it becomes the steward of the San Diego Padres. That's their number one goal, is to continue to try to fill Petco Park by putting good players on the field, by creating an atmosphere that was second to none in baseball last year, Major. I don't want it. I don't want to be a survivor. I don't want it ripped to the studs.
Right. No. And I've been a Padre fan since 1969. I know from fire sales. This is not a fire sale year. That's not what's happening. Players are being taken away, plucked away, because they're being offered more money than the club currently wants to allocate in their direction. This club, even if there hadn't been a dispute between the Seidler family, wasn't going to pay Jurickson Profar $42 million for 3 years. It just wasn't. Regardless of the legal papers filed back and forth and the teeth gnashing behind all the representations made therein. We still have a potent core of this team, really potent core of this team. But we all know that there are missing parts, and we would like to see some of those missing parts added. And we have to remind ourselves, AJ is pretty adept at that addition part in February and March, better than most GMs. Most GMs don't do that. He does. So I wait with expectation of what may come next. But you can't look, for example, at the catching situation and say, well, we've got that solved. We don't. We have someone we've lost complete confidence in and two aging veterans who may or may not have one last bit of lightning in the bottle. Wow, okay. That's not a huge confidence builder. Our rotation is iffy. The infield and outfield is pretty solid. There is a strong core of talent there. But you need a lot of other horses to go up against the Dodgers, the competitively better Giants and the competitively better Diamondbacks. They've gotten better than we have in the offseason. So it's going to be a stretch. It's going to be hard. This is not as bleak an offseason as I've experienced in my long life as a Padre fan. I've seen far bleaker, so I want to make sure people understand that. It's not as if this team is being destroyed. It's not as if we are selling off the key assets, but there is anxiety about what the intentions of the ownership group are. And they would do something, they would do themselves well, quite separate from this legal dispute, to be clearer and more emphatic about what their actual intentions are, and remind Padre fans that they're here to stay, as Peter always wanted this club to stay.
Does it make sense for Major Garrett as a Padres fan, you hear the rumors, to trade either Dylan Cease or Michael King to try to address some of those, as you said, other needs, or does it make more sense to just hold on to those guys and fill in the margins with obviously, replacement type level players that aren't going to cost too much?
So I would not trade Michael King. I don't see any upside benefit for the Padres in that at all. He is far more competitively priced. The arbitration hearing, I don't think, will be that contentious. I know AJ prefers not to go in that direction, but that's the direction it's going to go. It'll be resolved. Dylan is more expensive, and if anything is going to sour a general manager on a promising player, it will be underperforming in the playoffs. And Dylan underperformed. He knows it. Everyone who watched him knows it. And that's something that GMs never forget. And so there's a great line about AJ that he falls in love with players and he falls out of love with players. I don't know if he's fallen out of love with Dylan, but the chances are greater that he has than he hasn't. So I would not be surprised if Dylan Cease were traded. I think there are parts of his game that are super attractive and could pull for us some really important component parts outside of our two absolute lead pipe cinch studs in the minor leagues, DeVries and Salas. It's pretty barren. We need a lot of help there. So these are calculations you have to make. They're hard calculations to make because you cannot play 162 games with a 3.5 person rotation. You just can't.
Well, you're making a lot of sense as usual. Major Garrett joins us this morning, and you look for anything to bring a smile to your day. And I got to say, we were going to bring this up later, but I was on X yesterday scrolling around, and I saw just a little video that Fernando Tatis Jr. had posted. He's all smiles. He's walking next to Arise, and he's walking next to Crony, and he's like, "We're back together," and everyone's smiling. Yep. And just for one fleeting second, I went, "Hell yeah." Baseball's coming back. Players are so resilient. They really are. They're so good at compartmentalizing and blocking out all the crap around them. They're not moping. They want to go out and play and compete. And
exactly.
It gave me one little shred of okay, I'm excited. There's my guys. There's three of my favorites. They're walking together. They're grinning ear to ear. I'm back in. Here we go.
Right. And back to perspective.
Yes.
I don't. You do. You live in San Diego, an amazing, phenomenal place to live, a great, great, great place to live. Trust me, I live in Washington, D.C. Every time I tell anyone here where I grew up, they're like, "Oh, my God, what a great place." I'm like, yeah, it is a great place. Point one. Point two, Crony, Arise, Tatis, Manny, Bogarts, Merrill. That's a pretty good core.
It is.
Okay? That's not terrible.
It's not. You're trying to keep that perspective. I know. You're absolutely right.
And it's Petco, one of the greatest places to see a game in America.
On the planet.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it is. No doubt.
And the energy and the sense of devotion and the sense the players have to be in that building and to play for the fans and the rapport that's there night after night after night, most major league cities would give just about anything for that which we take for granted.
Once again, Major Garrett distills it down.
Again.
Clear-eyed, not overly panicked, but also not, starry-eyed either about the San Diego Padres. We always appreciate your perspective, Major, and appreciate your time anytime you can give it to us.
Always a pleasure, gents. Always a pleasure. It's been a hard week. It's been great to talk to you, and look for the bright side of things.
Thank you, Major.
Best
Appreciate
to you,
buddy.
Major Garrett, Chief Washington correspondent for CBS News and our Padres fan in chief on the East Coast, with great perspective was the word of that interview.
Yeah, he's the one. He's one of the best guests we've ever had. So I'm not surprised that he brought it because he always does.
Yeah, I tend to agree with him. I thought what he said, maybe the most insightful moment Padres-wise from that interview, was the fact, and I've thought it as well, but I'm almost afraid to give it voice. Because I hate thinking that one bad or two bad outings in the playoffs can define a player's career. But it's hard not to think about that from last season with Dylan Cease.
Yeah, I mean, is it fair?
It's not. It's not
because
fair.
We've got guys on our team that did not perform in the playoffs. Manny didn't perform up to his capabilities. Luis Ariz, I know he was hurt, did not perform up to his capabilities. Jurickson Profar, after a monster year, did not perform up to his capabilities. You go down the line.
Tatis did. He was a monster.
But you look at the 24 scoreless, and I can't put that on Dylan Cease at all. Dylan Cease tried to do something to help the team. It didn't work out. I still was fine with the move then. I'm fine with it now. Our option was Martin Perez. Okay? Martin Perez is no longer a Padre. It didn't work. You're going to have to take risks as a manager and as a player. And, he went out and gave us everything he had. It just wasn't enough. So,
isn't there blame to go all around?
Yeah.
It would not be fair for anybody to just put it on Dylan Cease. You could put it on management that gave him the ball. You would put it on the offense that went 24
and Major,
right.
and I don't think Major was putting it on Dylan Cease, but he was acknowledging something that is a reality when he said, GMs don't forget. Because the ultimate goal is to win a World Series. And let's say they keep Dylan Cease, because they might. And let's say they make the playoffs.
I hope they do.
Because they might. And we want all these things to happen. We're all going to be terrified, when he takes the mound in the postseason, and he may come through.
But you're terrified.
Clayton Kershaw never came through until, he did one year.
You're terrified no matter who you have on the bump. It really doesn't matter. The playoffs are a whole different animal. They're a whole different animal altogether. And that's why you see guys that traditionally don't. Kiki Hernandez didn't have the world's greatest season. In the playoffs, he's Babe Ruth. He's Babe Ruth in the playoffs. He's maybe one of the greatest postseason performers of all time. He doesn't even have a deal with the Dodgers right now. He's still sitting out there.
Well, they don't need him until October.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing is I'm a wreck no matter if it's Roger Clemens in his prime or if it's Dylan Cease or if it's Joe Musgrove. It doesn't matter who it is. I'm not disagreeing with Major at all. But when you also factor in, who's his agent? Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, if we move him, we're going to have to deal with the fallout there. But I'm certainly fine keeping that dude at the top of the order or top of the rotation.
All right, thank you again to Major Garrett. We got to remember that we've got at 9 o'clock another Biggest Fan announcement. Don't forget, if you hear your name, you're going to have 10 minutes to call us back to qualify for a night in the Odyssey Suite at a future Padres game. Register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggestfan in order to potentially hear your name called 3 times a day every weekday here on 97.3 The Fan. I will come back. Padres did officially announce the Elias Diaz signing.
You guys a little surprised with the hype video?
I was totally shocked, actually, by the hype video. Coming up next on The Fan. Glad you're feeling that excitement for the start of baseball season. At least
like a
kernel.
It was like it was
flash.
like hitting a smelling salt just for a second, just like the woo, whoa, and then it goes away. But I don't know. It was cool. It was cool to see. I mean, I love those guys. Love watching them play. Want big things, expect big things from all of them. Good to see them back together. They don't care. They don't care what the Dodgers have done. They don't care really what's going on with the Padres. They just want to play ball and try to win games. I appreciate that.
If Major Garrett is still passionate and excited about the Padres, and he's got his questions as well, I think you're allowed out there to be passionate and excited about the Padres, even if it was a disappointing offseason, at least from the standards that we have come to expect in recent years. Obviously, this has been a highly disappointing and different feeling offseason for the San Diego Padres. There had not been a single major league signing on the free agent level until officially yesterday, when the team announced what we had learned earlier in the week, that Elias Diaz will be joining the team as a catcher. They did not announce the terms of the deal, but reportedly a 1-year, $3.5 million contract with a mutual option for 2026. And you mentioned the they did the post, the social media post, hey, welcome back, Elias Diaz. And then they dropped a hype video, which
wow.
I when I looked, I thought, wait, hold on, is this what I think it is? And then I started watching it and going, this is actually a really, really good video of Elias Diaz. Because when they signed him, Woods, I had to go and find some video to pull for Channel 10. I need some B-roll of Elias Diaz in a Padres uniform. So I went to his game log. I go, okay, where am I going to find something? All right, well, he had that one home run on September 21st against the White Sox. I will pull that one. And I did. And then I said, and he had 3 other hits in his entire, he had a single and 2 doubles. I actually found one of the doubles. It was an RBI double, brought in a run. So I had video of that. And that was all I could find. I'm going, this is tough. But the Padres managed to put together, I don't know how long it was. Felt like about a minute and a half.
About 30 seconds.
It was only 30 seconds.
40 seconds.
I don't know. It's of good Elias Diaz content from their social media team.
I think, if you're the social media team, you've been like, we've been making graphics for concerts and stuff. So, like, I want to make, is it cool if I rip out, yeah, have at it. If you want to do it, you think you can get enough material, go get it. Because
in previous off seasons is like, we don't have time to make
too
enough
many
videos for every player that's being added and all the moves that we're making. This off season, they're sitting around waiting for something to do.
Yeah.
And they finally had a chance to put it all together yesterday.
Good. And by the way, great job. I mean, great job on it. You got me fired up about Elias Diaz yesterday. After his 4 hits for the Padres, he played in 11 games or something, or maybe even
12 I think
games.
was his total games.
So hey, listen, you got to sell the sizzle every now and then, right? We have to do it. They have to do it. Everybody's got to do it, and I think they did a great job at doing it. And they had time on their hands, as you said. Usually they're making 4 to 5 an off season. So far, it's been a little bit slow.
Yep. So it is official. Elias Diaz joins the catching core for the San Diego Padres. He will report with pitchers and catchers to spring training. We are now less than 2 weeks away from the report date for Padres pitchers and catchers in Arizona.
Crazy.
Hard to believe.
It is.
Super Bowl will be played, and then 1, 2, 3 days later, I believe it now will start spring training. It used to be back in the day, they'd play the Super Bowl, and then you'd have about 2.5 weeks before spring training started. But with the Super Bowl going later and spring training seemingly starting a little bit earlier every year, that gap has narrowed to just like a day or two. In fact, I believe the Dodgers and who are they playing in Japan? The two, is it the Cubs?
Is it the Cubs?
Whoever they're playing, I think they report like on Super Bowl Sunday because they need to get a bit of a head start like the Padres and Dodgers did last year for the Korea series when they reported a little bit earlier than everybody else.
Yeah, it will be the Cubs.
Yeah, Dodgers and Cubs starting the year in Tokyo.
Yep.
So now remember that what the toll that took on the Padres early in the season. The Dodgers have to do it again. And, not that I feel like it's going to, derail their
I mean, they only may win 119 games.
Derail their
season.
efforts, but it certainly will put a little extra mileage on those teams when they have to make that travel again, especially for a second year in a row for the Dodgers.
Well, I mean, look, they're I don't want to say exploiting. That's not the right word. But they are looking to conquer Japan. And so far, so good. Very well done. Yeah. If that was on your vision board, Andrew Friedman, it's come to light. I just saw a clip last week of Mookie Betts in Japan, just doing ambassador work now. I mean, they're going to be over there in a month or so or whatever.
So did they go to him like, hey, Mookie, can we fly you over first class to Japan for a few days to shoot some videos and hype for the series? And
That's
yeah, sure.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So pretty smart. That's what they're doing. Let's think about what
the sun never sets on the Dodgers empire, apparently.
Let's think about what continent that A.J. Preller and his scouts can go out and conquer. That
the Dodgers just signed the first ever player from Africa.
They did.
So
the Sudan.
Yeah.
So where can we go?
Well, I think we already have a toehold thanks to Joe Musgrove.
Antarctica.
In Antarctica.
There's like 17 people there. What are the odds that one of them is going to be good at baseball? What about Australia? Paulie and I played with a guy in Australia.
Richo.
Yeah, Richo. And he came to Explicit with us. Great ball player.
That's right.
And he plays in adult leagues down there. He's like, oh, there's actually.
He didn't come back to fantasy camp. Well,
no, he didn't this year. Well, Australia's far, bro.
I think he's coming to
He's
San Diego.
coming to San Diego next year.
Next year.
Opening day. But yeah, what is the next what's the next continent that we can conquer and start pulling players from there? Japan? I think we're out. AJ Preller learning Japanese. It hasn't paid off for him yet, but I do think, there's a whole great big world out there. Where can we go next? Europe. A lot of baseball in Europe. We got our buddy Welsh Fryer. He plays over there. I think it's growing.
Not a ton of professional baseball players coming out of Europe, are there?
Not that I know of.
I can't think of.
Yeah, Liam Hendricks was from Australia.
Yeah.
That's right. Grant Balfour was an Australian.
There's been a few.
Yeah.
Dave Nilsson back in the day from the Brewers was Australian. Europeans, I mean, like Jurickson Profar could play for the
Curacao?
Well, yeah, but because it was the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Because that's a Netherlands colony or whatever it was. He could play for the Netherlands in the World Baseball Classic.
Kirsten says the Dominican. Yeah, I mean, we've done really well there, as most teams do. They've got the academies down there, and but yeah, I think. Wait, really? The most recent first pick overall is Australian? I didn't know that. Who was the most recent first pick overall out of Australia?
Really? Oh, Bazana. Yeah,
Travis Bazana.
Yeah, doesn't he have like dual? He might have dual citizenship or something like that.
Was he from there? He came over here to play in college.
He
or something?
attended high school in Sydney, Australia.
Oh,
Australian,
right
born. Yeah, born in Sydney.
There you go.
Yeah, he's Sydney. Then he went to Oregon State.
I had no idea. None.
But yeah, I guess he's originally from Australia. So,
well, we know who we can send over as our ambassador to Australia. It could be you
because of my accent.
Because of your accent. Thanks. Nobody does it better.
All right. Well,
what the bloody hell was that attempt at an Aussie accent?
See?
Eric has a good thought in the chat. How about India and Pakistan? Find some of those cricket players and turn them into baseball stars.
They can sling it. India, 1 billion people over there. Yep, 1 or 2 of them have to be good players. I agree with that. It's just the law of averages.
Better chances than Antarctica.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
All right. We'll get into some more of the Padres rumors that were popping up yesterday. John Heyman wrote a piece in the New York Post about the Padres and Mets. I think that's a bit...
I can't believe it. That John Heyman?
Yeah, a little self-interested in, wanting to see maybe Dylan Cease come to the Mets. But
I can't even believe it.
2 seed.
It certainly makes...
I can't even believe it.
Certainly, I've forgotten about that one.
How could you forget?
I can't even believe it.
How do you forget about that?
Man was in tears.
He was in tears that night.
But, the Mets are certainly one of the teams that would be a possibility. You've mentioned the Braves, the Cubs have been
those are the 3
in talks.
The 3 big ones, and there's some good prospects. At least the Cubs, I think, really match up pretty well. But, again, what the AJ's asking price is huge. I mean, it's huge as it should be.
Yeah, I just wonder if can any of those teams offer like a major league player as well? Because the Padres don't just need prospects.
No, there needs to be somebody.
They need to find a major league player, and it can't be someone like Starling Marte.
No.
They can't
Needs to
be
be young,
taking on
controllable
someone
talent.
else's burden. They're not looking for that. They're looking for someone who can actually produce, a left fielder, a
starting
designated
pitcher.
hitter, a starting pitcher, and you're not going to get likely 5-WAR superstar, but someone who can provide a couple of 1.5 to 2 WAR at one of those positions would be really valuable to the Padres, this season. And then also prospects that fortify your system and make you better going forward. A way that you can spread some of the wealth of someone like Dylan Cease. A couple of prospects. To me, I'm going to feel a little. All right, that's a little. That's a little too future thinking.
Yeah.
But you also do need to add to your system as well. That is something, as Major Garrett said, the Padres need to do, because beyond Salas and DeVries, it's not. They're ranked 26th in baseball in prospects.
25th. Relax.
25th.
Yeah,
they need
come on.
to. They do need to reinforce that area, not just because you need to have a good minor league system, but if the Padres are decent this year, they're going to need something to trade at the deadline to improve their team. Come July, and
Like I said earlier, I'll hammer this point home all day. It's got to hurt them. It has to hurt the team that is giving back once they get Dylan Cease. It has to hurt. They have to go, oh, all right, because again, you're talking as usual, proven commodity for unproven commodity. Still a commodity, but very unproven, and you just never know what can happen, but you know what you're getting from Dylan Cease. The consistency has always been there with Dylan Cease. You know what you're getting, right? So it's got to hurt. It has to hurt them more than it hurts you losing a Dylan Cease who's got 1 year remaining with Scott Boras as his agent. They know that as well, so they're going to try to keep the offer down. You don't have to trade him. The Cubs, if they want to go for it and they want to win and build around some of the already 1 year rentals that they have, if they want to pull a Padres and really try to go for it because they're in a division where they can do some damage, then you have to do it. You have to do it, but it's got to hurt them.
Yeah, at some point, one of those GMs is going to look and go, God, I like our team. We're so close.
We're so close. Alex Anthopoulos, maybe.
I need to pull this off.
Gotta do
I know
it.
it's going to hurt, but I need to pull this deal off.
Guys like that, guys like Alex Anthopoulos and the GM of the Cubs, I think just like AJ Preller has always thought, Jed Hoyer. I can always restock. We have a draft coming up. I can restock. I'm going to lose some comp picks signing these guys and things like that, but I can restock with top prospects. So I think it feels more likely today than it did, even a week ago, because now you're starting to see some names in returns.
Don't do this is coming up next, as Wood said. The one rule violated again.
Yeah, there's just one name. If you want to stay off, don't do this, and you want to stay out of the headlines, there's a lot of things you need to do, but there's one name you can't invoke. Just one.
First, though, let me tell you about SDFatLoss.com. Valentine's Day is coming up, and I know that from my experience in losing weight, one of the greatest things that you can give to your loved ones is getting in shape yourself, like getting healthy, so they're not worried about you all the time. I lost 40 pounds in 60 days. It's just great peace of mind for both you and your family, knowing that you've done something to, help secure your health. And my health is so much better now. I sleep better, less back pain, less knee pain. Losing weight is just really a great thing on your organs. So many benefits from it. And you can do it fast. 2 months is nothing. It goes by like a snap. And then you feel better, and then it's so much easier to start exercising and doing the things that you probably have stopped doing since you put on all the pounds. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to SDFatLoss.com. You're going to set up a free consultation and take advantage of their Valentine's Day special. Yeah, kind of extending the New Year's special into Valentine's Day. You can still get $200 off until Valentine's Day. Check them out. It's all based on real foods, no prepackaged mixes, shakes, or bars. I did it. You can do it as well. Friends down the hall, John and Jess, they lost 70 pounds combined with SDFatLoss.com. So many success stories out there. Please be the next Tier 1 success story with SDFatLoss.com. Sign up for a free consultation. No injections. Just lose the weight, a pound of fat per day. 10 to 20% of your body weight in 60 days at SDFatLoss.com. Don't Do This is brought to you by Trust and Will. Don't leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die. Do set up a trust or will online at trustandwill.com. It's a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. I'll get things started today, and I would like to welcome Justin Tucker to the club. Deshaun Watson was saving you a seat.
Man.
At the NFL players accused of inappropriate behavior by massage therapists club.
What the hell is
Happening here, man.
Justin Tucker, of course, the kicker for the Baltimore Ravens, one of the best who has ever done it. Had kind of a surprisingly off season this year. And don't know if this was part of it, but we just found out from the Baltimore Banner yesterday that Tucker is being accused of inappropriate sexual behavior by 6 massage therapists in the Baltimore area. Don't think I can go into specific details, but I think you can imagine what the accusations are against Justin Tucker.
You want to know the wildest part of this entire story is this. So the article comes out. Justin Tucker released a statement denying all allegations. People started digging up tweets from 2021 that said things, the nature, like Justin Tucker is banned from massage parlors in the Baltimore area. This is 4 years ago that people were like, yeah, but that's a story for another day. You don't want to know about what I know about Justin Tucker. He's been banned from these 2 massage parlors in the Baltimore area. That's weird to me. That's very, very strange that, this potentially has been brewing for a while with Justin Tucker. I don't know Justin Tucker at all. I don't know what his character is. It definitely surprised me when I saw it yesterday. It didn't feel like something he would do, but I don't know why I say that. It just didn't feel. It was wild. I read the accusations and I went, "Oh my God!" I mean, we're talking, and it gets
Disturbing.
pretty descriptive too.
So as with anyone, Justin Tucker deserves the presumption of innocence.
Sure.
And absolutely deserves to present his facts and case. And as he said, he released a statement, called the allegations unequivocally false. I will say, because this has been now an issue multiple times. And we've seen it on both sides where, athletes absolutely have done bad behavior. And there have been some people who have tried to take advantage, financially of athletes in compromised positions or whatever. There can be exaggerations. I understand that both of these things happen. My logical brain, though, goes to, okay, this is 6 different people making these accusations. Anyone can have a misunderstanding at a massage parlor once. Probably. I mean, it could happen.
Kind of.
I could understand it happening. Okay, something happened. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I will...
it's got a mind of its own.
I'll never come back again. It won't happen again. And then it doesn't. And then, okay, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. If it was a one time, and it never happened again, and it was okay, this was just a mistake. 6 times means you continue to go to massage parlors.
6 different ones.
Is it possible that 6 different massage therapists have all concocted stories, similar stories, that they get together in some chat room or, having drinks and go, hey, let's really screw over Justin Tucker. Let's pick him.
It's wild,
and pick him.
It's wild.
I don't know. To me, that stretches what is reasonably and logical.
Well,
it's hard to give him the benefit of the doubt when I hear 6 different people are making the same accusation. Same with Deshaun Watson. That was 23?
Yeah.
Women, it's really hard to think that they are all just making up the same story and just decided one day, this is the guy we're going to screw over.
Yeah, and again, that those tweets from years ago, that's the part of it that I said this goes a little bit beyond he said, she said, because this was kind of a known thing in that Baltimore circle. Years ago, 4 years ago, they're making these accusations on social media, and now it comes to light based on the article. And have they been covering this for the last 4 years, and it's now just coming out? It's pretty disturbing, to say the least. So we'll see what happens there. Again, hard and fast rule of don't do this. There's one quick way to always get your name in the papers, unwanted social media attention. It's by invoking the name of Hitler. And active UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell was on his podcast. It's called Arkansanity, like Arkansas. He's in full camo. He's talking on his podcast, and he just said, I honestly think Hitler was a good guy. He wanted to purify Germany by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. Didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. That's a quote from him. That's not. Don't pull that out of context. Thank you. But that's what he said on his podcast. And he, obviously was summarily dragged. Dana White, the president of the UFC, came out and said, he's an idiot. He's one of the dumbest guys that I've ever met. He has a right to free speech. And I guess you have a right as a viewer to watch him get pummeled in the octagon.
You also have a right as a viewer not to watch him. And my recommendation would be, if Dana White is going to keep putting him out there, don't make that the lowest rated UFC fight ever, and then he won't get another opportunity.
That it did feel a little, maybe that warrants a bit of a suspension, but apparently not. But hey, man, it's not my league, so
again.
It's just that one guy. Like, it's just like that one guy that is just a guarantee. It's
Everyone
just a guaranteed
thinks,
L.
Well, no, maybe if I phrase it differently. Maybe there's a better way to say it. No.
Don't do this.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, we need a little do this. Good karma here.
Mega doo-doo.
So, Philadelphia Eagles found out that the New Orleans is going to be hosting the Super Bowl. Same as the national championship, where they had the terrorist attack, the truck driving through Bourbon Street, such a tragedy less than a month ago. And two of the people who were sitting there on Bourbon Street that night, former Princeton players, best friends, and huge Eagles fans. One of them was killed during the incident, Tiger Beck. His best friend, who was named Ryan Quigley, survived, but suffered a broken leg and back, among other injuries. The Eagles have reached out. They found Brett Quigley and brought him down to the facility and said, would you like to come to the Super Bowl?
Oh, that's killer,
and gave him tickets and said, we're sorry that Tiger can't be there with you. And is it okay? Well, are you willing to come back? He said, I will go back to New Orleans where it happened. I want to cheer for my Eagles.
That's pretty
I want
cool.
to be there for the Super Bowl. So it was nice to see them doing something for one of the victims of that incredibly tragic terrorist attack in New Orleans from a month ago. Man, it's been a tough start to 2025,
tough. You start to so many things happen, you forget. You're like, oh, we just had these fires,
terrorist attack, plane crash.
It's just been. You want to think nowhere to go but up. But you also realize if you're a Padres fan, there's always a deeper darkness. So you just roll with the punches as best you can.
And that's Don't and Do This for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're going to come back. We'll talk more about those Padres rumors.
Let's get into some of the names and the return.
I agree.
Break those down
Mets
a little bit.
prospects, Cubs prospects. I mean, is there anything out there that looks appealing to you guys?
Yeah, California sports fans, got good news for you. Underdog available to play right here in our state. The best app for your big game party is actually on your phone, and it's called Underdog. Underdog, the best place to cash in on all your takes during the big game. Which players are going to go off, which ones are ice cold. Make your entries in just a few taps. With their pick'em game, you could win up to $1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on certain players' stats. You know how daily fantasy works. Really, really fun. Very, very simple to do. Just cook up some entries for a shot to win the real cash prizes while you watch the big game. I always have fun watching it. And they do such a good job on Underdog of tracking your picks. You look at them, and it has this little line, and you're like, oh, I'm getting closer. Oh, I'm getting closer to 181.5 yards. It's a blast. I've had so much fun with it. A lot of Tier 1s signing up as well. Really appreciate it. And Underdog, the best place to play pick'em. Download the app. Sign up with the promo code WOODS. Deposit now. You'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code WOODS. Must be 18 and over, present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
The Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, listen to 97.3 The Fan for at least 1 hour to earn your daily entry into our national contest. The grand prize is travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination, where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim, plus $20,000 cash. Did you go to Stadium Swim when you were? I have not checked it out yet.
I've been to the casino and I've seen it like at night. I've seen the pool area and all the really massive big screens surrounding it. It looks awesome. Have not been there like during the day when everything's going off.
That, like Don Orsillo.
Yes.
One of my favorite spots of all time. Him just in all his glory at Stadium Swim. It looks amazing. Where is it, on the Strip or is it off Strip?
That's downtown.
It's
downtown.
Circa's
Yeah,
downtown.
you gotta take an Uber to get there.
Old school downtown. Unless you're staying down there. Then
We
you
had
don't have to take an Uber.
dinner at the steakhouse there at Circa, and we were like kind of walking around the casino, and you're like, oh, there's like the sports book looks cool, but then you see the pool area, and you're like, that's how it's done.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
I got this email yesterday, and I know we're going to talk Padres here, but I'd like to bring it up at some point. We both do daily fantasy. We have sponsors for our daily fantasy. I got an email, and there's a push again to try to legalize sports gambling in California. And every time there's a push, there's a push back. It's legal in most states now. California and Texas are 2 of the only ones that have not legalized sports betting yet. You can do daily fantasy, but you can't technically bet on games, in the state of California. Now, do people find ways around it? I'm told that they might.
I mean, I've heard of it happening. But
when we were at fantasy camp, casino down the street has sports book. You can gamble on sports in most states.
Did you
now
hammer the under when you went to play your poker?
Why
didn't you put $50 on the under?
There wasn't much going on at the moment.
What's the Dodgers win total set?
I haven't seen that. We'll have to check the over-under totals. Yeah. But the argument is usually the same. People are going to find a way to do it anyway. You can get tax revenue for your state and regulate it, and take out some bad actors who are, perhaps scamming people, and there's really not much protection because you're not doing it legally. So make it legal. The arguments against, of course, are you don't want it to be easy for kids to get into it, and that's always a concern. And I think Woods and I both believe in responsible gaming of any sorts. I think it's a fun thing to do, and as long as you are doing it responsibly and keeping an eye on what you're spending, and it's no more harmful than any other vice. And there's plenty of vices out there that people will indulge in from time to time, but you should always do so responsibly.
Yeah, I've got total lines.
Oh, do you?
For the season. This is from FanDuel. Everybody's got their own different books, but we'll go with FanDuel for now. As of today, I've got the 2025 regular season wins line for the Padres and the Dodgers.
Okay.
Who would you like to hear first?
Let's guess. You give us the 2 numbers, and we'll guess which team is associated with each number.
I'll try to set it myself.
You want to do Padres or Dodgers?
Padres, I'm setting it at 82 wins.
No, they're much higher than that. I would say they're at 86.5.
Ben was very close. 87.5 wins for the Padres.
Much higher perception, I think, outside of San Diego of the Padres. I think a lot of Padres fans would be a little more toward your idea. But if you feel that way, you can go ahead and hammer the under. But nationally, they look at the roster and go, that can't be any worse than like an 86, 87 win team based on the players that they have. Dodgers, just the fact that it's baseball.
Right.
You can't go too high.
Yeah, you can't go 113 or something.
That just wouldn't be reasonable. Could they win 113? Absolutely.
Is it 113?
No.
Oh.
But
somebody
they could.
just said in the chat, Dodgers 113.
No, that's too high. I would say, I'm going to guess 106.5.
I'm going to say 99.5.
Split the difference. Ben, a little bit closer. 104.5.
104.5.
That's a lot of dubs, man. That is a lot
of
dubs.
Dubs. If you
went
bet
last year, 99?
Yeah, they did. If you bet the under, though, and it's the middle of September and they're already at 108, you're going to go, well, that was dumb. I knew that they were going to do this all season long.
Yeah.
So I couldn't.
The under pays out slightly better than the over for the Dodgers.
Really?
Minus
Oh, yeah.
115.
I wouldn't bet the
versus-
under on the Dodgers
I
there.
think I could pull the
I
trigger on the
don't
under.
think I would bet the under on the Dodgers.
99 last year. They're getting Ohtani back to pitch.
Allegedly.
And then they've added some insane
Everyone.
pitching.
Yeah.
I mean, they've only gotten better. They
mean,
have
yeah.
not gotten
Think
worse.
about it from a historical perspective. There's been 175 seasons of Major League Baseball. How many teams have ever won more than 104.5 games? Probably no more than a handful
Yeah.
Say
in
5 to
baseball
10.
history. So 99.999% of baseball teams historically have won less than 104.5 games. So you're riding on the .0001 or you're riding on the 99.999. I feel like I'm riding on the .0001 here on the Dodgers. I just don't think. I mean, they're just
If
gonna,
they don't win
they're going to
100
be better than last
If
year.
they don't win 105 games with that roster,
It feels like I feel like a 100-win season is fairly disappointing. Like if they won 100 games exactly,
yes, dude.
that's an underachievement.
Yeah.
Kind of a fairly considerable one.
Yeah, KG says, God willing, the 23 curse that afflicted us moves north. That would be a scene. If you hated me now, you will hate me then, Dodgers fans. I will be nude running the streets of San Diego.
I mean, you just need to
Nude.
curse so many people all at once.
Yeah. I mean, we actually had guys healthy in 23. I mean, we did. It was healthy. They just didn't get it done. I mean, which happens. Pressure's gnarly. Gnarly. They've done it. Last
Dodgers
year,
go, 6-27 in one-run games.
Right. Something absurd. Can't win the extra inning
I don't even
game.
see them being in that many one-run games
neither,
this
man.
year.
Me neither. I definitely plan on making some money on the Dodgers this year. It seems like a no-brainer, but yeah. So we'll see. So the Dylan Cease stuff is coming out, and all I did just now is I went into X and I just typed in Dylan Cease, and you have fake insiders from 3 different fan bases. Here's one from the Braves. News: Braves talks with Padres for Dylan Cease have intensified. Some progress towards a possible deal has been made. Sources tell. Stripers report from Atlanta, and he brings up tomorrow really he says this 3 hours ago. Tomorrow really is a soft deadline for Cease. As Padres Fan Fest is tomorrow, they would prefer not to have a star be there if they're not going to play for them this season. Dylan Cease is scheduled to be on this radio station tomorrow. It would be a little odd to have him at Fan Fest and then trade him 2 days later. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
I promise you that A.J. Preller doesn't consider tomorrow to be a deadline of any sort.
Not even a little bit. Not even a little. So also...
He is not going to desperately trade Dylan Cease just because of Fan Fest.
I heard he's on the Fan tomorrow. We've got to get rid of him today. So no, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it needs to be the right deal. Here's another one. The Atlanta Braves have reached a trade agreement with the Padres for Dylan Cease.
Wow.
The Georgia native is returning home. Former Milton High School grad. Blah, 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 blah. Players returning to San Diego and the deal are still unknown. That's from Bobson Dugnut. So you know it's good. 223 followers. So there's also rumors about the Cubs and the asking price for the Cubs. Shaw is the guy that allegedly A.J. Preller is wanting. Matt Shaw.
So I talked to
more.
My resident Cubs fan at Channel 10 last night, Michael Chen, big Cubs fan, says the Cubs are not going to give up Shaw. That's his opinion. Yeah. Shaw's an untouchable.
He's untouchable.
According to at least Cubs fan Michael Chen.
Okay.
Now, they have 6 other prospects in the top 100.
Yeah.
We talked yesterday, including Owen Casey, who was a former Padres prospect that was dealt to the Cubs as a very youngster with the in the Yu Darvish trade a few years ago, and has developed into a promising young player. But there are other names there, and several of them are projected to reach the big leagues this year, which is why the Cubs felt like a potentially logical destination and trade partner for the Padres. But as John Heyman reported in the New York Post, he thinks that the Mets make more sense for the Padres.
Of course he does.
Based on
His Mets
some of their
fandom.
prospects as well. Let's talk about what the Mets can offer after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, people are doing a pretty good job of staying out of trouble on our roads this morning, guys. There is a crash, though, out in Alpine. Hit and run, eastbound 8 before Tavern Road. It's over the right shoulder. Looks like emergency crews got that right lane blocked. Again, that's East 8 before Tavern. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so New York Post, John Heyman writes that the Mets don't like long-term deals for pitchers, and they showed that by not pursuing Max Fried or Corbin Burns. But they've been trying for Padres rental ace Dylan Cease, and presumably would also consider rotation mate Michael King.
I bet they would.
The Cubs are involved as well. While their prospect list is ranked higher, with highly regarded third baseman prospect Matt Shaw understandably off limits in rental deals, the Padres may prefer the Mets list, including Brandon Sproat, Jet Williams, and Luis Angel Acuna.
So I saw those three names mentioned yesterday, and I did see a couple of Padres fans saying, if that's the deal from the Mets, I will drive Dylan Cease to the airport. And I don't know enough about those three guys, Ben, to speak intelligently.
Sproat and Williams are both in the top 100 overall of baseball prospects.
What positions do they
Sproat
play?
is a right-handed pitcher,
okay,
something the Padres absolutely need.
Sure.
I believe Jet Williams is listed as both a shortstop and outfielder.
Got a few of those?
So, you need an outfielder, though, if he could play outfield. And Luis Angel Acuna is the biggest kind of name. He's not the highest ranked prospect. In fact, what I saw, he was like only 8th on the Mets prospect list, but
he's got the name.
He's got a pedigree. He's the brother of Reindl Acuna Jr., who, of course, is MVP Reindl Acuna Jr. Now, he hasn't shown a lot of power. He has speed in the minor leagues and has hit okay, but not for power. Nothing anywhere close to what his brother has been able to show on the big league level. But he does have the family pedigree that gets people excited.
I'm looking at Jet Williams' numbers. I mean, pass. I mean, he was a 225 hitter in his career, 250 hitter in the minors for 3 seasons. There's a
reason why
he has no power.
There's a reason why he's listed in the top 100 overall prospects in baseball.
Is it because of his speed? Nope, it's not a speed. I'm looking for what it potentially could be. It's not power. He has 14 homers in the minors in 3 years. He has stolen 56 bags in 3 years. That's okay. He doesn't walk a ton. His OBP in the minors is 408, slugging 417. That's okay. I mean, is this Bryce Johnson, or what are we talking about here?
A lot. No,
I forgive me my ignorance. I'm just looking at these numbers and I'm trying to see, is there raw power? No.
I don't
is there a ton of speed?
I don't know enough specifically about the Mets prospects to speak intelligently about Jet Williams. I can tell you a couple of things. The minor league numbers, sometimes they're real and sometimes they're not. If major league GMs project that OBP as like, we think he can duplicate that on the major league level, then he's instantly valuable to a team.
He's
if
on
he
base
can get on base 4 out of 10 times on the big leagues,
he does walk a little.
He's absolutely valuable. But not everybody projects that way. They go, he's good against minor league pitching, but I don't see it against major league pitching. So that's part of it. The other thing is the top 100, I was reading Keith Law. He goes, it's not a great top 100. He says it was a stretch for me to even get to 100 names. So even if the name is on the top 100, doesn't mean they're that great of a prospect anymore. So keep that in mind as well. With any deal that's for prospects this year, might not be the greatest deal. Now, second half of this John Heyman piece is that if the Padres traded Dylan Cease, that they would likely pivot and try to sign another pitcher, including Nick Pivetta or Jack Flaherty. No pun intended on the pivot. I don't see the Padres trading Dylan Cease and then going and signing someone like Jack Flaherty, who would be more expensive than Dylan Cease because he's a free agent pitcher and is trying to command, top dollar on the market right now. Maybe Nick Pivetta you could get on a more reasonable deal as he's gone unsigned this whole offseason, but Flaherty is, the best pitcher left on the market, and to me that doesn't make a ton of sense.
What? He's another spy. I'll pass on him. I see him winking at Shohei Ohtani and throwing him a heater.
He was on that team as long as Manny Machado was on that team.
Doesn't matter.
Manny Machado's not a spy.
He's been tweeting about the Dodgers every day, celebrating every move they've made. Pass. Pass, dude. Pass. I'm out. I have to eat my words. Hey, sorry, Jack. Always wanted you here.
Welcome to
spring training, bud. He said, "Hey, look, I like the dude. I do. I like him well enough, but I feel like I feel like he really loves LA.
I don't trust him.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him."
Couple of other notes not involving the Padres in this piece. He mentions the Mets offered Mark Canha a non-guaranteed deal. Canha is a fairly established major leaguer, has a decent OPS year by year, is someone who could definitely help the Padres. He's not getting a ton of interest on the market if he's not even getting a major league guaranteed deal offer from his own team that likes him a lot. So I wonder if he's someone that's on A.J. Preller's radar. J.D. Martinez, who was a big influence in the Mets winning clubhouse, is also aiming to play in 2025. He's someone Padres could use as a designated hitter.
And a designated hitter only, yep.
But, they need a designated hitter, especially now that, Ha-Sung Kim and Jerickson Profar are gone. Don't know if that's someone that could fit into A.J. Preller's plans as well.
Yeah, I mean, interesting guy. I mean, these are, again, you want to catch the lightning in the bottle that you were able to do last year with Donovan Solano, David Peralta, guys like that. I don't know, man. Do these guys have much left in the tank? JD's third said, would we welcome Jack Flaherty if it meant winning a World Series or pass? Of course you'd welcome if you were guaranteed a World Series, but, I kind of say it in jest when I say he's a spy. But that he does love the Dodgers, man, and he wants to be part of what they're doing there. They don't really have room for him. They certainly have the money if they wanted to bring him back, but they haven't yet. And like I said, I wonder, too, we saw what they did yesterday. They let go of Ryan Brazier, who had a 1.89 ERA for them out of the bullpen. They let go of Brazier.
They didn't have any room left on their 40-man.
They DFA'd him.
Now, they can still trade him during this DFA period.
Correct. They can still trade him, but...
And they will. Someone will offer something for Brazier.
100%. And you look at it and you go, oh, my God. Are they... they don't have a spot for Kike right now. You know what I mean? Are they messing...
They don't have a spot for Clayton Kershaw right now.
Are they messing with their chemistry, potentially, of guys that were there? I mean, for me, I guess if it works out for him, great. It's a smart thing if you're Andrew Friedman to say, yeah, the natural rush to judgment is, I'm bringing all these guys back. Let's keep the good vibes rolling, right? They do business a little differently. They've upgraded in many positions. But is Kirby Yates, who I love, is he an upgrade over Ryan Brazier? I don't know. Ryan Brazier had a monster year for them last year. You're kind of cutting out some of these pieces, the Flahertys, the Kikes, the Ryan Braziers, that helped you win a World Series. So
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
They've spent too much on too many good players,
yes,
and thus are going to suffer because of it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say they're going to suffer. I'm not going to say they're going to suffer at all. Nail says chemistry coming off a World Series is a little easier to find. I tend to agree with you, man.
It is in spring training, but once the games get started and guys are not playing or sitting on the bench, you can sometimes get fractured feelings in situations like that.
Yeah. Sure.
One other note, the Padres, according to John Heyman, will listen on just about anyone except Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr., according to what he's saying.
Jackson Merrill.
I would think imagine. Jackson Merrill would be on that list as well, but he did not specifically mention Jackson Merrill. Did have one signing yesterday in Major League Baseball. Max Scherzer agreed to a one-year, $15.5 million deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays seemingly are that team that didn't get anyone they really wanted and are now settling for all the second-tier players as like a consolation prize. I don't think that's usually a very good strategy, but I can't say that, maybe they catch lightning in a bottle. I saw our friends at Cespedes Family Barbecue pointed out that Scherzer got $500,000 more than Justin Verlander did with the Giants.
Yeah, 15 and 15.5.
Didn't think that was a coincidence.
That's not coincidental. Those guys have been on this weird linear kind of path, and
personally, who would you rather have, Scherzer or Verlander, on essentially the same price in a one-year deal? I think I'd rather go gamble on Scherzer.
I have no earthly idea put to the test which one I would want. Give me Lord Baseball. Why not?
You'd rather have Verlander?
Yeah, Kate Upton.
Well, we'll see him on the San Francisco Giants this season.
Yeah, Kate Upton.
And that's your baseball update.
That's literally my only reason. Maybe we get to interview Kate Upton. That's it.
All right, we'll come back, reset the show on a Friday. I think there's some music talk coming up.
Ooh,
I'm usually not in the loop on some of those.
Well, you're going to enjoy
discussions.
this.
All right, and Take on Wood, speaking of music, all coming up in our next half hour on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Friday. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan. Appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for being in the YouTube chat. Thanks for being on social media, listening on your Odyssey app, or your radio, in your car, however you consume us. We really, really appreciate it and enjoy doing this program for you, despite everything that's gone on this year, man. We try to... You guys are as much therapy for me as maybe we are for you. So being able to come in here and talk to you guys every day certainly helps get it all out there. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. We did our member stream last night. Had a great time. Went about an hour and 10 minutes. After it was over, put the kids down and got in bed and started to fall asleep. And I got a text from a buddy that said, "Hey, are you watching this this thing with the LA Fire concert, the Relief? What was it called?
FireAid.
FireAid.
I completely forgot it was last night.
As did I.
Totally forgot.
As did I. And at the time, it was about 8:30, and I said to myself, "This is discipline, my friends." I said, "If I start watching this, I will not stop. So I'm not going to. I will wake up in the morning and be treated to clips online of all the things that I missed." And I think I'm going to go back this weekend and try to watch it on.
I fully plan on starting it at least.
Like,
just kinda...
it was actually on every streaming platform last night. Everywhere. Yeah. Paramount Plus had it. Everybody had it. They were running it live.
I haven't seen like the runtime for the show yet. I know like the last one I watched that was streamed was probably the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert in London.
It was
that
incredible.
The Foo Fighters did.
It
was not a Foo Fighters concert. It was
like 5 hours long.
It was like 8 hours.
It was 8 hours long.
It was like all damn day on a Saturday. And so if this is anything like that, I look forward to maybe tomorrow or Sunday, whatever, even tonight, just turning it on and kind of just letting it run in the background.
So they had it at two different venues. They had it at the Intuit Dome. And then they had another separate one at the Forum, maybe?
Yes.
Right across the street from each
right
other.
across the street. And it was a star-studded event. And I do mean star-studded. And it opened, it actually opened with Billy Crystal, who welcomed the crowd to the Kia Forum. And he said, quote, "Our goal is simple tonight. To spend more money than the Dodgers spent on free agents," he joked.
Billy Crystal, huge
to raise more
LA
money,
Clippers fan, and also lost his home.
Yep. He also told the audience that U2 offered the first big donation of the night, $1 million. Crystal said he was wearing the clothes he had on when he evacuated. He lost his home in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood that he had lived in for 46 years. And so then the music starts, and it just goes nuts. Biggest stars in the world, lots of surprises. And I think probably the biggest one was a Nirvana reunion. Now, tough to reunite Nirvana without Kurt Cobain.
Even I know that.
Yep. But they had some absolute superstars come in and sing the vocal parts. St. Vincent did a couple of songs. Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth, Joan Jett, and then drummer Dave Grohl's daughter, Violet, came on stage and sang All Apologies. And you guys all know what Dave Grohl has been in the middle of the last few months. Fathered a child out of wedlock with another woman. A little bit ironic, All Apologies. His daughter, he's on the drums. Everybody kind of noticed that, but listen, give it a listen. Right here. So badass, man. So cool.
Wow.
If you're just listening, as I'm watching that, it's such a cool shot to see Violet Grohl singing into the mic, and then just over her shoulder in the background, you see her dad on the drums.
Bro, Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth playing on the song, Pat Smear, who was in Nirvana and the Germs, and Chris Novoselic, who was the Nirvana bass player. Total surprise. Nobody knew it was coming. Incredible. I'm punching myself for I would have been up till midnight. So I had
I do not remember that being billed for the night. That was a surprise, a Nirvana reunion.
There's a ton. What else do you have, Paul? You pulled a couple clips.
How about we can all get down with a little Stevie Nicks, right?
Oh, yeah. Stevie Nicks.
Let's see.
have to do this song. You have to.
Took my love and I took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky.
I mean, that sounds absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. So, yeah, Stevie Nicks did a couple songs. Lady Gaga did a couple songs. I loved this one because I'm obsessed with... I still just love Led Zeppelin. I still love the Black Crowes, and I love Guns N' Roses. So it was Chris and Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes playing with Slash on guitar, singing a Zeppelin song.
Drank all my wine.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Made up my mind to make a new start. Going to California with an aching in my heart.
One of my favorite songs
Chills,
of all time.
dude. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I got goosebumps.
Someone told me there's a girl out there with love in her eyes, flowers in her hair.
Just what a night, man. I don't know the total that they raised last night. My guess is that it's a buttload.
And it's probably still climbing at this point as well.
I mean, a buttload of money was raised last night. Lady Gaga finished the show with Shallow, Always Remember Us This Way, played a new song on the piano. Just incredible. Green Day, Billie Eilish. I mean, you name it, man. They were there last night. What a special night. Red Hot Chili Peppers came out and did their kind of California threesome, Californication, Danny California and Under the Bridge. Dre came out with Anderson .Paak. Joni Mitchell played. No Doubt played. Katy Perry played. Just nuts. So hopefully they raise a lot of money and get it going again.
There's a lot of great songs with California.
California is the number one.
I think I've done it as a Take on Woods category in the past, but there are a lot of really good California-centric songs.
You read some of what Billy Crystal said, but just listen to. I got like 30 seconds here of him opening it up. It was pretty awesome.
Hello, LA, and everybody watching around the world, watching us. Welcome to FireAid. We are gathered here at the Kia Forum. Our goal is simple tonight: to raise more money than the Dodgers spent on free agents. You will be hearing from a number of people who were tragically affected by these fires, and I am one of them. I stepped onto the grounds and I fell to my knees and I wailed. I had not cried like that since I was 15 years old, and I was told that my father had just died. This was the only thing that was left. I felt there was a message from that 15-year-old me saying, it's going to be okay, and it will be okay.
Wow. Incredible. By the way, Clippers owner Steve Ballmer has said, you donate to FireAid, I will match it.
Like all
of it.
All the matches.
All of it.
So going to be a lot to match.
That contribution is on top of the $15 million that he already donated a few weeks ago. He said, we love LA, committed to supporting the communities affected by the devastating wildfires. In coordination with our local partners, Ballmer Group will contribute to addressing immediate food and shelter needs and supporting our first responders. And he had said, yeah, whatever we raise, I'll match it, which is just nuts. So,
and I will point out, and this is Dodger loving, but the Dodgers are also donating $100 million toward the fire relief as well.
It's crazy.
Which feels appropriate.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's see. What else? Somebody says, was this televised or streamed? It was streamed, I know.
Everywhere.
It was streamed everywhere. It was on Netflix.
Paramount
it was on
Plus,
Paramount
Max.
Plus. Yeah, it was everywhere. So
Amazon Prime.
I need to go watch the whole thing because but I wanted to give you guys a little taste of some of the ones I saw this morning. Jelly Roll did Hollywood Nights, and he brought out Travis Barker from Blink-182.
No, I want to hear a little Bob Seger as interpreted by Jelly Roll.
It's not It's the first thing I saw this morning. Really set my Friday. And the second thing I saw was that someone had
you just need to let
messed
go
with our YouTube.
I think you've kind of, this is starting to be irrational. He's not the worst. He's not the worst.
Fair. It's fair. He's not.
He's not.
I don't think he's the worst.
But he's getting kind of under your skin a little bit. You just think he's overexposed.
I'll take Jelly Roll over Luke Bryan.
That's fair. I'll do that.
Shake that butt.
Yeah. Any day of the week.
Now that we've talked music for the first 12 minutes of the hour,
let's play a musical game.
Let's play our musical trivia game of Take on Woods.
Maybe I'll actually get one right.
Coming up in our next segment, if you want to be our contestant, you can get on board now, 833-288-0973. Woods in a good mental space, I'd imagine, trying to bounce back from his last performance on Wednesday, a shutout 1-0 loss in Take on Woods. So if you want to try to qualify at the end of the month here for our trip to Las Vegas, 833-288-0973. We're going to get to that coming up. I also want to talk a little college basketball. Big decision ahead for the San Diego State Aztecs here as we approach the end of the season. First, though, I want to talk about Kearney Mesa Volkswagen. Right now at Kearney Mesa Volkswagen, they have the biggest event of the year. They're just getting it right off the top here in 2025, and some incredible prices on some amazing Volkswagens. You got to check these out. The Future Forward ID4, it is electric innovation meeting German engineering, and it's just $149 per month right now on a 24-month lease. Where can you get a great car like that for a great price other than Kearney Mesa Volkswagen? If you like the VW Bus, how about the ID Buzz electric bus? Yeah, combining the icon, the style, with a zero-emission technology and space for all your adventures. And right now at the Sign and Drive event, you're going to pay nothing at signing, 0 down, 0 months first payment, and 0 security deposit. You just sign your name, and then you drive off the lot with your brand-new Volkswagen from Kearney Mesa Volkswagen. Now part of the Sedano Auto Group. Woodsy talks about Sedano a lot. Veteran, locally owned. They care about the community. They're part of the fabric of San Diego. It's a great business to support, and it's centrally located right in Kearney Mesa. So check it out today. Head on down. Check out these VWs. They are amazing in person. Tell them I sent you, or go online and visit KearneyMesaVolkswagen.com for more details.
Sure, whatever his name, Joe, this morning on Facebook is in shambles with all the music talk.
Losing his mind.
Get back to sports. Where's the sports? We'll get back to sports in a minute.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
We really will. We've got another 100 minutes left on this program approximately before Annie and Elston take over. And guess what? You're getting a bonus 2 hours of Ben and Woods tomorrow.
That's right.
No charge, no extra charge included in your price. It's just an all-in package. You're getting a 2-hour show tomorrow from Padres Fan Fest from 10 to noon. Which, by the way, the charge for this show remains
$0.00.
Correct. So, again, complaints, we will sift through them. We will
send them to Adam.
Yeah, send them to Adam.
We will take your complaints seriously, and then we will ignore them usually.
And Adam, if you get them, don't send them to me, as I've told you numerous times, and you still continue to do. Tomorrow, the embargo is over. I get to make fun of Adam again.
Oh,
it's a whole month.
It's dry January.
Yeah, dry January for me is my version where I don't get to rip on Adam. It's been difficult, but tomorrow,
fair game February starts tomorrow.
100%. Right back in the torture chamber. Adam Klug goes.
All right, looks like we have a contestant on the line. It is time for our final January episode of Take on Woods. Can't believe John hasn't qualified already. John is going to be our contestant today for Take on Woods. Hello, John. How are you?
Good morning.
All right, this is your last chance to get in. Do you feel feeling lucky today?
Hey, this is the last chance, man. Fly or die.
All right, let's do it. If you can beat or tie Woods, you will qualify for our grand prize drawing trip to Las Vegas to see the Scorpions, plus a 2-night stay at Planet Hollywood and a $100 gas card. The Scorpions returning with their 60 Years of the Scorpions Las Vegas residency show, live August 14th through the 23rd at PH Live at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. You know how it works, John. You get to pick our category. Here are the choices. Not those. These. Those are 5 2-second songs that include the word these in the title. Naming names. 5 song titles that include the word name. And All About You. Those are 5 songs that all end with the phrase about you. So not those, these. Naming names are All About You, John.
Not those, these.
Not those, these. All right, he wants the music. Paulie. Open up the file and get ready for 5 2-second songs. You need to identify the song title and the artist in each of these songs. And again, the one commonality, they all include the word these in the title. John, are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
Paulie?
I'm ready.
He is ready to go. All right, you'll have 60 seconds. You can always pass. We can come back to the song if there is time left on the clock. Your time begins when we play our first song. Again, the category, not those, these. Good luck, John. Let's take on Woods.
One of these might be cool.
Correct. Song number 2.
These Dreams by Heart.
These Dreams by Heart. Correct. Song number 3.
These boots are made for walking, man.
Correct. Song number 4.
One of these days, I don't know.
Pass. Song number 5.
These Eyes, Burton Cummings, or Guess Who.
Wait, well, repeat that.
These Eyes by the Guess Who or Burton Cummings.
The Guess Who, correct. Do you want to go back to number 4 again?
Sure. Oh, I don't have that one.
All right, that's a 4 out of 5, and you got One of These Nights by the Eagles, These Dreams by Heart, These Boots Are Made by Walking, Nancy Sinatra, These Eyes by the Guess Who. That was a good one. You missed These Are Days by 10,000 Maniacs. I don't know. 4 could hold up here.
I think so.
We could have a win. We could have a tie. We could have a loss. I got no idea how this one's going to play out. This is going to be a fun one to end the month, though. Woods, I will tell you.
It's been super fun lately.
I will tell you, this is all 2-second songs.
Oh, God. All right.
They all have one thing in common, as usual.
Okay.
60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when we play the first song. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on John.
One of these nights, the Eagles.
Correct. Song number 2.
These Dreams by Heart.
Correct. Song number 3.
These Boots Are Made for Walking, Nancy Sinatra.
Correct. Song number 4.
These Days by 10,000 Maniacs.
Song number 5.
Three Dog Night. These Taints.
That is incorrect. Which means John, with a score of 4, has qualified for our grand prize drawing. Sneaks it out. John, congratulations. Stay on the line.
What's that last one?
That was These Eyes by the Guess Who.
I hate that song.
You don't hate that song.
Come on. Oh my God, that song's horrible. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another love like I had with you.
I'm sure it's just a sign of my age, but I cannot think of that song without thinking of Superbad. And Evan just,
these eyes are crying. So funny.
And
so good.
I will say it's technically These Are Days by the 10,000 Maniacs, but yeah, we will give John absolutely full credit for not those. These. A fun game to end the month. These Dreams is a great song.
Yeah,
Heart.
that's a good one.
I like These Boots Are Made for Walking.
Yeah, I do
Nancy
too.
Sinatra.
That's really good.
It's got to be tough to live in the shadow of a legend.
Oh, you think so? Like Frank Sinatra? Like one of the biggest legends of all time? Holy cow. That was great. It was nice to get one right. I was just happy to get one right. Even though I didn't win, just getting one would have been nice. Was nice.
We'll come back. I would like to talk a little college basketball because the Aztecs do have a big decision to make soon, and we'll tell you about that coming up.
All right, my friends, don't go through another year with all that high-interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. It's your old pal Woodsy. Wanted to tell you again, their rapid equity loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast with no appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. With their AI-driven technology, it'll get you approved and funded in as little as a day. With low fixed rates, lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being by next Friday. How about this? Credit card debt-free this time next week. So don't wait. Call Loan Pronto today if you're a homeowner, 619-207-4336, or go to loanpronto.com. Get the process started. Get your free rate quote now with no hard credit pull, 619-207-4336, or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
These eyes cry every night for you. These arms long to hold you again. Boom, boom, boom. The hurting's on me, yeah. And I will never be right. No. You gave a promise to me, yeah, and you broke it. You broke it, honey. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one like I have with you. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one.
So Jocelyn wants to know in the chat, what is happening here? No idea what's happening here.
Oh, God.
The Guess Who was in Take on Woods. Paulie said, all I can think of now is the movie Superbad.
I like the guy in the back going, wah, wah, wah.
He's like shaking on cocaine.
All coked up.
That is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
It just kills me. I love it. Good pull.
Earlier this week, we talked about the Junior Caminero ninth inning home run and the Dominican Winter League Game 7 final to lift his team, Escogido, into the Caribbean World Series, and mentioned that it is coming to the San Diego area, Mexicali, and it starts tonight, actually. Woods, all games are going to be broadcast on MLB Network, so there's actual baseball if you want to watch it. Actually, starting this afternoon at 1:30, Venezuela taking on the Dominican Republic, so that Escogido team managed by Albert Pujols going to be playing in the first game against the defending champions from Venezuela, and then the second game is tonight at 8 o'clock, Puerto Rico against Mexico, and it goes on for the next few days. They get down to the semifinals and finals and crown a Caribbean World Series champion next week. Estadio Nido de las Aguilas in Mexicali.
I want to watch some of this on MLB Network. Did you say?
Yeah, every game is going to be on MLB Network.
Hell
yeah. So it looks pretty much 1:30 and 8 today, 12:50 and 5:50 on the weekends. But you check your local listings.
Good. I'm all over it
to follow the Caribbean World Series. I bet it's going to be fun. I wonder if any Tier 1s going to make the trek and cross the border, drive down to Calexico.
I'm sure.
And then cross the border.
Got some buddies texting, thinking about making the trip.
It's so fun.
Looks awesome.
Man. Looks incredible.
All right, let's check traffic, and then I want to get into a little college basketball and San Diego State's big decision coming up.
Not good news.
Probably not. Yeah. We'll see on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
We still have some problems along the 805 on the southbound side before Mesa College. An overturned crash blocking that right lane, and a hit-and-run crash on the Home Avenue off-ramp of northbound 805. Also traveling on southbound 15 before Carmel Mountain Road, we have reports of a stalled car in the center divide. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So my colleague Steve Smith went down to Aztecs practice yesterday. Got to talk to Brian Dutcher, who gave some injury updates on his roster. First, Jared Coleman-Jones, senior forward, who missed Tuesday night's comeback victory against San Jose State. Apparently, he's twice had his shoulder pop out, dislocation. Get it popped back in, but then, you got, as Fernando Tatis Jr. knows, you got to be more careful with it. You got to be, some rehab to it. He's going to be a game-time decision for tomorrow's game against Wyoming at 5 o'clock.
Why does it keep happening?
Well, once it happens once, it's more likely, and he may need surgery after the season. Oof. But for now, they're just going to try to, as Tatis did, get it back in there, get it as healthy as possible, get him through the season, hopefully through the NCAA tournament, and then they can get it cleaned up possibly after the season. But if he had a surgery now, obviously he'd be out for the year, so they want to keep him on
playing.
The court.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't play tomorrow, Dutch pointed out they have a bye on Wednesday, so they don't play again for a week until Saturday. So that may be the course that they go with Jared Coleman-Jones. See if they can win tomorrow against a lower tier team in Wyoming without him, and then try to get him healthier. I think it's Colorado State they play at in a week. The other injury update is kind of the dilemma and the choice. Reese Waters was supposed to be the best returning player. Preseason all-conference. he was the bulk of the experience returning from last year's Sweet 16 team, but back in October, started feeling some pain in his foot, didn't know what it was. Finally, doctors determined you got a stress fracture in this little tiny bone that doesn't get a lot of blood flow, and you're going to have to be in a boot, and they had him on one of those little scooters where, he'd have to just keep it elevated all the time. So he did that for a while. The hope was that he might be back, start of the new year, but had more scans, and they said, no, you still need more time in the boot. Finally, in just the last few couple of weeks, they let him take the boot off. Now he is at practice, and he's shooting on the side. Yep. But Dutch said yesterday, but he's still not cleared for full up and down basketball activity, sprinting, going back and forth. He's going to get another scan probably in the next week or so. And if he's cleared, he could start then the full comeback. But likely it will take, 2 or 3 weeks before he's up to game shape and speed. And when you just kind of think about the timeline here, all right, so let's say he's cleared a week from today, February 7th, and then he takes 2 or 3 weeks to get ready. So you could bring him back theoretically right at the end of February, early March to play in
Mountain West Tournament,
potentially
the NCAA.
But if you do, that's it for your eligibility.
He's done.
You're done for college. The rules are, if you want to take a medical red shirt, you can apply for one if you play in less than 30% of your team's games, but none of them can come after the midway point of the season.
Got it.
So if he plays in a single game the rest of the year, he comes back, plays in one, and goes, what, my foot doesn't feel right, his college career is over.
Damn.
If he decides to apply for a medical red shirt because he hasn't played at all, he's likely to get it and could come back and play next season for San Diego State and be what would likely be, the senior leader of what could be an extremely good team next year, given the potential of the guys coming back all with one more year of experience.
Well,
that's the dilemma facing him and the Aztecs.
Extremely tough decision for both sides of the team and for him personally. It sure feels like it makes sense for both parties to redshirt him. And for next year.
I'll tell you what. Dutch, it's not hard for him. He will do whatever Reese Waters wants to do.
Yeah.
And he may, offer guidance and, lay it out for him. But as a college basketball coach, the way Dutch operates is I will do what my players, what they think is in their best interest for their academic careers, for their basketball careers. He won't force you to redshirt. He'll recommend, hey, I don't think you're going to get a lot of playing time as a freshman, and you probably, would be well served by redshirting. But if a guy says, hey, I didn't come here to redshirt, Dutch will say, all right, we'll get you in as many times as we can during the season, and, you'll use a year of eligibility. But he is not one to force players, to do either play or not play. He will let Reese Waters make that decision for himself. And if Reese thinks, hey, this team, could be heading to the tournament, and I want to be a part of it, he may decide, I'm going to try and come back and play this year. But I tend to agree with you, Paulie. I think the idea of having a full year healthy next year and coming back with a group that could still have Miles Bird, Magoon Guath, Farrell Compton, Taj Gorville, all coming back
pretty
next
nasty.
year. Miles Heide.
A year of chemistry together under their belt.
And by the way,
maybe the most important part.
Waters has been at every practice. He
I
travels
love
with the
this,
team.
man.
He watches all the film. He's part of the team. He just hasn't been able to play this year.
Miles Heide said his leadership is very dear to us. He's not a verbal guy. He's here every day. He's leading off the court, which is perfect for us. Does the travel with them, rebounds for him, and shoot. Like, that's a dude that wants to be part of this team. And I like what they said in this article, too. Essentially, they said he shut it down, like as far as going in the portal or anything like that. He goes, I'm comfortable here. I like the culture. It's a place where I've grown my game. I don't think anybody else could do that. It seems like he wants to be back. If you read between the lines, too, on another quote in there from Miles Bird, he said, super excited to see what it could look like. You got guys who are in the first year of college and learning. You got guys like Reese, who already, in my opinion, was a top 25 college basketball player. You give him a year off where he's able to get his body back, it's going to be scary. That's an encouraging sign for Aztecs fans who, again, it's not uncommon for every single fan base in America. If you have good players on your team in college, you're panicked about Kentucky coming to call with a $800,000 offer for a Miles Bird or whatever it may be. If you read between the lines there, and based on a couple of things that we've heard too, Ben, through the grapevine, A lot of these guys want to be back here next year and try to get this thing going.
But the big unknown in college basketball remains NIL.
Yep.
And when push comes to shove, they can all say right now,
can you turn it down?
I love this team. I love my teammates. I love San Diego. I love San Diego State. I want to come back. And San Diego State says, we'd love to have you. We will devote as much NIL as we can. We've got, I don't know, $200,000 for you. We can get for you in NIL. And they say, great. I am excited. I am coming back. And then Kentucky comes knocking on the door with $1.5 million.
You're done. You're
can
done.
you really?
Yeah. How do you say no?
Can you really say no to that?
Yep.
Because that very well could happen to a Miles Byrd or a Magungwath or even a Reese Waters, who didn't play at all this year, could have some insane financial offers. And that would change the equation for anybody.
We've been talking about it now for a couple years, and this new world of college athletics with the NIL money, and it's not a level playing field. Maybe you thought that would level the playing field out. It's just not going to happen.
No.
With schools, whether it's the football powerhouses or the basketball powerhouses, they can just offer more than a school like San Diego State. I do think the best thing that San Diego State at least has going for them is they were only one of 8 teams that played in the NIL tournament this year
huge, man.
in Las Vegas. That's going to expand to 16 teams, I believe it is, next year, but they will still be one of those teams. Like, that gives you a leg up on a bunch of other schools. That's, what was it, like, I think we were estimating could be like $60,000, $70,000 a player.
Yep.
And NIL money.
It's further unevening the playing field. Actually, it's not evening the playing field. It's the opposite. In college sports.
It's evening it out for San Diego State.
Now, San Diego State is actually closer to being a have than a have-not in college basketball. Now, they're not Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, or Kentucky.
Why do we keep losing players then?
Because they're losing them to those schools in particular. But they're also gaining players from a lot of other schools, like Jarrett, guys like Jared Coleman-Jones who come in, like Reese Waters. Reese Waters Nick Boyd went to the Final Four and didn't stay with his school. He came to San Diego State. So in that sense, San Diego State's kind of a winner in NIL, but they're also a loser. They lost Lamont Butler. They lost Keyshawn Johnson, Elijah Saunders left, Micah Parrish, even Chad Baker-Mazara, who was less an NIL guy, but was more of a academic guy. He's now one of the best players in the country for Auburn, the number 1 team in the country.
Crazy.
There's been a lot of good players that have come through San Diego State.
Put those guys back on this team this year. What does it look like?
Look at that team right there. Talk about the Dodgers being a super team with 2 playoff teams.
Yeah.
If you just took everyone who is currently or was once an Aztecs basketball player, you have 2 really good NCAA tournament teams right there just of Aztecs.
Well, we do this with the Padres every year. You build the all Padres traded, who was traded team, and it always looks pretty stout. Like you could get it done. But no, we've got people that have talked to us, and a lot of these guys have expressed interest to come back. But again, Benny, when push comes to shove, do you really want to stay, or do you want to take some potentially life-changing money for these guys?
So tomorrow's game against Wyoming, I'll say the same thing I did Tuesday against San Jose State. Should be an easy win. Aztecs favored by double digits. But at this point, when can you ever count on that? And Wyoming made 17 3-pointers in their last game, which was an overtime win over, I want to say Fresno State, one of the other lower teams, but they can shoot, and the 3-point shot is the great equalizer. San Diego State gave up 15 of them to San Jose State in their last game. We didn't know last Tuesday they weren't going to have Jared Coleman-Jones. Now he's, much more questionable. We have no idea if he's going to be able to play, and maybe Miles Heide will be back in the starting lineup. So, this is a very dangerous game again. A team that if you lose, you're already on the bubble. You are last 4 team in, or just off the last 4 team in every bracketology I've seen this week. 10 seed or an 11 seed. Jordan in North Carolina just sent me one. 10 seed against other 10 seed North Carolina in a play-in game in one bracketology this morning. You lose to Wyoming, you're off the bubble, you're out of the NCAA tournament as an at-large. So nothing good can happen tomorrow. It's just you have to win that game and then move on to the next week.
Not to switch gears entirely, but did anybody catch any of the Pro Bowl games last night?
I saw one clip.
Okay.
I saw one clip as well.
Of Sam Darnold hitting just target after target after target.
It was at the same.
Of where the hell was this?
Was it the same game? Because I saw. I think it was Josh Allen.
They had like the moving.
Yeah, it was like
X's.
Yeah, the X's with different, and then a point total would come up.
Yeah,
and you'd have to try to hit that total while it was up.
It was like Dave and Buster's type game.
Yeah, it really was.
It was
expanded.
Well, it was that. So I caught it. So I was when Bo got home from school or from where he was. I said, let's put this on because he loves flag football. He has a playoff game tonight. He's elated. He's so excited. I was trying to catch like the flag football part.
The flag football game's on Sunday.
Is that on Sunday? Okay, we'll watch that Sunday.
That's kind of the actual Pro Bowl now.
Last night was kind of the
skills
and everything else. But we caught the relay race and helmet harmony. Did you see helmet harmony? It was
like the newlywed game or something?
Yes, it was Terry Crews was the host, and he would go to guys from the AFC and the NFC, and he'd say, okay, who's your coach's favorite player? And they would have whiteboards, and they would write it down. And be like, Jordan Love, and they both got it right. It was slightly entertaining for about 5 minutes. Dodgeball. They played dodgeball. I mean, it was tough. It was rough. The relay race, you had the Bosa brothers running against each other, but they decided not to run. They power walked. It was a bit of a train wreck. And then you look and you see the panel up there, and it's Ryan Clark's in there, Dan Orlovsky's in there. They were interviewing Joe Burrow, and I'm like, this has got to be mortifying for these guys. Yeah. Mortifying. For Joe Burrow, he's sitting there answering. His face was so deadpan, and he did the skills challenge. He was hitting the targets, and he was just like, yep. Yeah. That was cool. I mean, it was a tough watch.
It's such a tradition in sports, so this goes against all of that tradition. I just am not an all-star game fan for any sport.
Oh, baseball's the best.
Baseball may be the best of the three. They're all tired.
They don't take a play.
It's all tired.
There's no play. Baseball is the only one that plays legit. They play it straight up.
Occasionally there's a John Kruk against Randy Johnson moment.
That's funny, but like Paul Skeens is not throwing 86 when he starts last. He's not like, all right, you ready? Here comes the heat, or like
basketball is a no defense dunk fest. It's 200. I think they scored 200.
And this is this has turned into a
NFL's by far the worst.
It's by far.
Well,
the worst.
I'm glad they don't play the game.
Been worse.
This is actually a better idea than what they used to do, which was try to actually play the game. I didn't watch the skills challenge, but I will admit when I saw that clip of the quarterbacks trying to hit the targets, I said, I could probably watch that for 10 or 15 minutes. If you strapped me down and I had to watch it.
The 30-second clip was about all I could do.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
Well, they're playing game shows on it now. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I smiled. But there's no need for a relay race or a dodgeball tournament or anything like that. The skills thing is kind of cool. I mean, watching guys, again, ply their craft at the best thing that they're good at, in their case, of Sam Darnold and Joe Burrow, and they're slinging it. That's kind of cool to me, and my kid liked that.
You don't realize it, but I now need to issue an apology and a retraction.
For?
Well, so yesterday, Paulie and I stuck around because I had some production to do, and you left. So I did the promo without you, and in the promo, I specifically said, we will not be talking about the Pro Bowl at all
I did not know
Friday.
That.
Yeah, you
Sorry
did.
about
I know
that.
You didn't know that. And I felt pretty safe.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Coming up Friday, we'll follow more Padres trade rumors and get you ready for Fan Fest. We will not be getting you ready for the Pro Bowl games in the NFL. Whoops. I felt really confident that as long as I didn't bring it up, you wouldn't bring it up on the show today. Fair. I didn't even need to warn you. No. Woods, there's no chance Woods is going to bring up the Pro Bowl, so I don't even need to tell him what I teased for the show today. But then you just went and out of the blue said, I don't mean to change the subject, but did any of you catch the Pro Bowl skills yesterday? It's like, what? There's no chance you were watching that. But you've got your kids. You could be watching anything nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, you watch what your kids want to watch, and it was either that or Woody Woodpecker the movie or something.
3? So, and I know they were watching 2 yesterday.
I'll take the skills
How
challenge.
How many do they got?
Any day of the week.
Oh, one other college basketball note. Late game last night, so UCSD still fighting.
9 o'clock tip-off?
Well, it was in Hawaii, so that's a time change thing. But 9 o'clock tip-off. Actually fell behind by, this one was even too late for me. They fell behind by 13 in the first half, but rallied back for a 74-63 win over the Warriors in Honolulu. So got the win. This coming week, I think it's in the middle of next week, they've got the second game against UC Irvine. revenge game. They lost at home. They go up to Irvine. They got a chance to win that one back and give themselves a chance to climb back up in the conference standings. So a couple of big games coming up for the Tritons, who remain. I saw, some national people tweeting about UCSD, like John Rothstein, and going, start paying attention to what they're doing. Eric Olin and his team are doing it in La Jolla, because they have built a contender like faster than anyone imagined on the D1 level. First year of eligibility with a chance to go to the NCAA tournament if they can win the Big West tournament coming up in March. Nice. All right, we got 1 hour to go. We're going to actually move up the Reindl Report. So Paulie's going to get some more headlines for us, including a scandal brewing in the world of basketball.
Oh, man.
Stay tuned for that coming up. And our biggest fan, name reveal. Next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So we've had a Good Friday program. If you missed it, way back in our 6 a.m. hour, we had a chance to talk with Major Garrett, Chief Washington correspondent for CBS News, and our Padres fan-in-chief on the East Coast. Measured, intelligent, wise takes on the state of affairs and the San Diego Padres. And we're going to bring that back to you in our final segment coming up at the bottom of the hour, which means we'll have our Reindl Report a little early.
I like it.
Before we do that, though, it is time to announce our biggest fan, 9 o'clock each weekday, wrapping up our first week of the biggest fan here today. And if you hear your name called, you'll have 10 minutes to call us back at 833-288-0973 and qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in the Odyssey Suite at a Padres game this season. Remember, register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest-fan. You could be the next name called. But today's name at 9 a.m., Tony Giroux from Chula Vista. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Tony Giroux of Chula Vista. You've got 10 minutes now to call us back at 833-288-0973 and qualify for our biggest fan contest.
Let's go, Tony. Stay hot.
We missed Edgar yesterday.
Well, we did.
So
Bummer.
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4 this week.
Let's make it 4 out of 5.
He has the French spelling, Giroux, R-O-U-X at the end.
Oh, okay.
You didn't do that with Beau's name. You could have done B-E-A-U-X.
No, we also could have done B-O, which I didn't want to do.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I like the B-E-A-U.
A-U.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little birthday next week for the little guy.
Oh, yeah? 7?
7.
Dude, it's coming up.
What got planned?
Well, he's got like 3 parties.
Usually
because why would one be enough? You
I
need
remember
3.
It's usually some sort of frigid, rain-soaked affair outside. At least the ones that I've attended.
This year, different. We're doing laser tag with some friends this Sunday, which is going to be, he loves laser tag. Who doesn't? And then the next weekend, his Gaga is back in town, and they're going to do a big party there for his him and some of his buddies, and she's going all out. I mean, as she usually does. So he's in for a really good 7th birthday. He's excited.
Right. Let's get to it. It is time for the Reindl Report. And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
We didn't plan this
we
out
didn't
very
think this
well.
one through.
About this because we just got a call. Paulie's got a Reindl Report to get to, but I just read the name.
Let's see who this is.
Yeah, caller, you're on the air. Who's this? Hello.
Fantastic. Yes, my name is Tony Giroux, and you said it perfectly right. Thank you, sir.
I did. All right. I'm happy for you.
All right, we screwed up, though, Tony.
Paulie, do you think you can do it quickly?
I don't have to really get, as long as we know this is Tony, which I just confirmed with the phone number and everything.
You've got his number. You're
okay,
qualified.
We're good to go.
All right, Tony, you're in.
Thank you, buddy.
All your info. You are qualified for the biggest fan. Congratulations. Thank you for calling us, and enjoy your weekend.
And is there anything I can do to get more entries?
Ben will take a bribe. He likes money a lot. I will not.
I have principles.
Ben would.
I believe once you call back, you just get the one. But
you just get the one.
Yeah, other people now will get their opportunity.
Okay.
Just cross your fingers, Tony.
I'll catch you guys at Fan Fest with a little bit of cash.
Yeah, come say hi. Yeah, come say hi. I'll be watching. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Tony.
Later, boys.
Have your Maisie
wins.
Make me a nice pie.
Yeah, if Tony wins, this is going to be a huge scandal. Yeah, Ben's up there. Thumbs up.
I think my boys are occupied elsewhere this week.
Take it away, Paul.
All right. Well, we teased it earlier. Heading into this segment, some drama in the NBA involving some sports gambling. Now, this is not the first time this has happened in the NBA. It's not the first time it's happened in sports, but it's a little eye-opening when you start to read the details, as the NBA and federal investigators are looking at one game specifically back from 2023 with Terry Rozier.
Okay.
So Terry Rozier, who still plays basketball, he's on the Miami Heat, I believe, this year, and he's a pretty good player. There was one game in question back in 2023 that has been investigated and deemed that nothing weird happened, and yet it's now being reinvestigated.
Oh, boy.
So it was a March 23rd game. Rozier finished with 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in the opening period, the first quarter. And the scandal all centers around daily fantasy prop bets.
Yep.
You can add like 31.5 combined points, rebounds, assists,
Sure.
or something like that. And after the first quarter, he said he was hurt. Rozier said he was hurt and did not return to the game. He actually did not return for the rest of the season. There's, I think, 8 games remaining in their season at the time. And it says here that posts that are still online for March 23rd show bettors furious with sportsbooks that evening when it became evident that he was not going to return to the game. They thought something shady had happened. I guess earlier in the day, one sportsbook took down his daily props for that night before he got quote unquote hurt in the first quarter.
So what are they saying he did?
Well, they flag obviously any like wager that they're seeing an unusual number of people. Like they know what a normal amount of wagering is on a normal NBA game and a player on fantasy.
Yeah.
And when you see like, all right, 5 times the amount of the normal money is coming in on one specific bet, that raises red flags. So then they look at the game. Well, if everyone's betting the under on Terry Rozier, whatever it was for that night, and then all of a sudden he plays for a quarter and then says, I'm hurt, that's going to raise a lot of suspicion that, the fix was in. Like,
what if he's hurt? He didn't play the rest of the year.
And that could be very well the case. That would be a long con. Like, hey, I'm going to pretend to be hurt, and then I'm going to continue to pretend to be hurt to, get people off the scent of what I was doing that game. It's a stretch, but you have to investigate these things,
flags,
especially if there was a lot of unusual betting that went on around one specific prop or one specific team. That's point shaving is the same thing.
Listen to this. They went back and they looked at what his prop totals were generally around that same time, and he was looking at around 21.5 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. You can do the over and the under. And a lot of sports books would offer those numbers for Terry Rozier. And then on March 23rd, sportsbooks removed all of those prop bets before the start of the game, and they did not list any reason why. So bettors saw that and go, well, that's weird. That's unusual. And then he was not listed on the team's injury report or anything like that. So then he goes out and obviously finished well below any of those prop bet numbers. Last year, the NBA banned, Jonte Porter for life. For something similar. So anytime this happens, anytime there's weird, absurdly high amounts of bets on a random player, it's not random, but it's not LeBron or Jokic. You know what I mean? Like, there was an obscene amount of bets placed.
Action on it. People had the inside information.
One
they
specific
went with it.
night.
And again, and I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the fact that it is now more common, with apps and daily fantasy, it actually is harder to do because there's so many more eyeballs on these numbers and these bets. If it was just a few bookies, like behind the scenes, this went on in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah.
But no one could ever catch it because there was no electronic documentation. There's no automatic computer like AI that's going, this is weird. The bookies would be the only ones who knew what was going on. So this was always going on. Now they can actually catch it because it flags.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing some people actually getting caught for it.
Yeah, and people always ask the question, like, what are we talking about? How much money are we talking about? It certainly can't be more than Terry Rozier made in his career or what he was making per year. A good, high-paid player. But it goes deeper than that, I think, in a lot of these cases, Benny. They get in trouble with a group, and then it's, here's how I can get out of trouble. Here's how I can help you guys make a little bit more money.
He's not making money himself.
He's not having his buddy Paul, hey, take me on the under tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
where Jonte Porter, who was banned for life,
he was
giving information to sports bettors.
Texting people like, hey, bang me on the
he was
under.
betting on his own team to lose
I
games.
know. It's crazy.
And he's still awaiting sentencing. Like, he was criminally prosecuted, I believe, last year. So we'll see what happens in the NBA there. But, yeah, it's slippery slope when every league is like, hey, join this. This is the official sports book of the NBA, and
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Try Underdog, and you can use the promo code Woods when you sign up.
All right, we'll move on. Yesterday, we talked about the front runner for our favorite Super Bowl ad with the Hellman's Mayo and recreating the When Harry Met Sally scene. You'll start seeing a lot more Super Bowl ads between now and next Sunday. Companies want that. They want more than just one day of notoriety. So I saw this. It's Super Bowl related, but it doesn't have to do. It does have to do with commercials. Twix candy bar, delicious by the way.
Correct.
You don't like them?
No, correct. It is delicious.
You give me
Twix? What do you give me
a look?
What do you give it? You look on Twix?
I'm 0 for 2 with my last Twixes, and I don't know if they've taken out some of the delicious preservatives that are probably bad for you. But the last 2 Twix I've had have been, you bite it and you have to yank the.
Sounds like they're stale.
Maybe, maybe. But I'm 0 for 2. Usually you get one. I've had a bad Reese's before, and you're like,
yeah,
it's powdery. And then you try another, like, oh, thank God. 2 for 2, man. Twix.
What makes Twix is the textural element.
Oh,
the crunch
the
is
crunch,
what brings people back.
But
and
nobody
the caramel,
wants hard
and the
caramel.
No.
Right. And
That's why you can't freeze a Twix.
That's right. I'm 0 for 2 on these.
All right. Well, let's see let's see if we can get you another one. But here's what Twix their bit for Super Bowl Sunday is going to be. They're not actually taking out an ad on television. I think I saw ads were going for like $8 million this year for a 30-second spot. They have announced, Twix has announced that they are going to be running a contest during the Super Bowl where they want you to go to Twix.com on your phone during every commercial break.
Not going to do this.
And what you will find when you go to Twix.com during the Super Bowl, during commercial breaks, is a staring contest. The screen will have 2 gold Twix bars on it with an eye on each one. And I've got it up on our YouTube feed if you're watching along with us this morning. There will be 2 little eyes, and it's a staring contest.
Know who should enter?
Apparently the eyes are the rappers Ying Yang Twins. I don't know
AJ
why.
Hawk should enter. Was at the gym 2 days ago, and I was getting just a little 20-minute walk before the workout. And as I was on the treadmill, I looked up, and there was the screen, and the Pat McAfee show was on. And it was Pat McAfee at AJ Hawk. And I did 20 minutes on the treadmill. 20. I couldn't hear it, so I was just reading the captions. But I watched intently. He did not open his mouth for 20 minutes. He sat with that weird half smile.
Yeah.
And he's cool. He's good looking, dude. Hair slicked back, black shirt on. He didn't say a word.
Just
not
on
one
Very
word.
weird.
On camera.
I don't know the bit. I don't watch enough of that show to.
It is. If
get
it's
what
a
they're trying
bit,
to
it's
do.
the most genius. I'd love to have a guy just come in here and sit. It's so unnerving and unsettling. How does Pat McAfee do it? How do you have a guy there that you don't throw to? You run out of steam. We all run out of steam. How do you have the guy just sitting there? 20 minutes.
How do they judge this staring contest?
Okay, so they will keep track of how long you stay on that page and how many ad breaks, commercial spots that you participate in. And the higher your score, the more contest entries that you will receive. Okay. And at the end, one winner is going to receive 2 actual gold bars worth about $170,000, they're saying.
Make your kids do it.
So probably tastes better than the real Twix.
They want you to go and only stare at Twix.com and no other commercials during commercial breaks.
That's pretty cool.
The more time you do it, the more entries you get, and you could win a gold bar. 2 gold bars worth $170,000.
Just stare at it. Second screen. Who thinks of this stuff?
We don't want to pay for a Super Bowl ad, so we're going to do this instead.
Yeah.
We don't want you to watch any other, no Budweiser ads,
That's pretty genius,
no
actually.
Ford ads, nothing like that. You only stare at ours.
Pretty good, actually.
All right, we got to take a quick time out. When we come back, you were just talking about sports gambling. Interesting update in the Ippei Mizuhara case from yesterday that you may have missed. We'll get to that
word.
Coming up. But speaking of, Woods,
you want to talk about sometimes the universe just lines up for you. Yeah, listen, if you're a California sports fan, Underdog now available right here in our home state of California. It's available to play right here. The best app for your big game party is actually on your phone. It's called Underdog. Underdog is the best place to cash in on all your takes during the big game. Which players are going off, which ones are ice cold. Make your entries in just a few taps. There's going to be a lot to parse out about the big game. There always is. And, we all think that we have an idea. Great. Go out and put your money where your mouth is. Always fun to choose higher or lower on player stats, where you think they're going to end up. Yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. They got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. Create entries with all football picks if you want, or you can mix and match across other sports. Maybe work some golf this weekend for sure. The only pick-em platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. Now, you can either keep riding with your entry or tap the win now. Let's say you've picked correctly 4 out of 6. You go, you know what? I'm gonna do it now. So just tap the win now button, cash out whenever you want. Loving it, having a great time with it. A lot of you guys are as well. May not share my picks ever again, but I might be able to be convinced. Underdog, the best place to play Pick'em. Download the app, sign up with the promo code Woods, deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Use the promo code Woods when you sign up. You got to be 18 and over, present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Well, the gambling talk this morning. It's all right. But I think one of the biggest parts of the Shohei Ippei scandal from last year, and maybe like the biggest mitigating factor in a lot of people's minds, was how can you possibly steal all this money from a guy who considered you a confidant and a friend?
Yeah, I wouldn't steal $1 from you. Do you know that? Not one.
No,
single.
Somehow you just give me money.
I end up giving you money.
How that happens?
You are the
fantastic.
Ippei to my Shohei.
I don't take it. You don't give it freely.
That's true.
But the moral of the story, as it were, with the scandal was don't get in over your head with gambling.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, bad things happen. He got desperate, didn't know what to do, and out of desperation, he turned to a life of crime, stealing money from his own friend and confidant.
A guy that, by the way, if you believe it, and you know, at this point in the investigation, I do believe Shohei was taken advantage of. The one weird thing about that case that always stood out for me that never really was addressed was Shohei and his team's initial response. Their initial response was, we were just helping a friend in need. Then it was, actually, no, he stole. That's the one thing. But
probably a little denial.
A little denial,
you know,
potentially.
And just, so again, overly trusting. Clearly, Shohei was overly trusting in this case. But yesterday...
But like, the thing is, what I was going to say is, you want to talk about being short-sighted? If you're Ippei Mizuhara, right? Being... Like I think they said his first salary in baseball was like $75,000. Then the Dodgers gave him like $250,000. Shohei gave him a Porsche Cayenne. Like, bro, all you had to do was just be normal. Like you were on the gravy train. Like
Who am I speaking with? Shohei Ohtani.
He was on the gravy train. You could have just been rolling, and Shohei's going to keep making more money. Like, you would have made so much cash.
But the twist in the story that we learned yesterday is that as they were getting ready for the sentencing, and Ippei's lawyers, begged for a lighter sentence.
Sure.
The federal prosecutors are recommending, 5 years, something like that. And they went through the whole, hey, he had a gambling problem. He knows it was wrong, but he got in over his head. And federal prosecutors came back with this bombshell.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, by the way, in our investigation, we couldn't uncover a gambling problem at all until well after he started stealing the money from Shohei Ohtani.
That is
wild. The only thing they could find was like a $200 charge at the Mirage in Vegas. And that was it. And the gambling, the big money gambling, all the money he lost, they say it started well after he started siphoning off money from Shohei's account.
So he starts siphoning money and then starts gambling. Dumb.
It's not a moral of the story tale at all. If federal prosecutors are correct, he was simply a giant thief and then used that money to try to finance a high octane lifestyle filled with gambling. It wasn't the other way around.
2008 is the only thing they found, $200 at Mirage. 2008. That is so long ago. That's bananas. I don't think it sheds any more light on why he did it. But here's what I just said. He had no expenses, the prosecutors continued. He had no loans, car payments, or rent expenses, noting Ohtani gave him a Porsche to drive. Mizuhara always had a significant balance in his checking account, more than $30,000 in checking in March of 23 and more than $195 in March of 24.
He was fine. There was no pressure or desperation at all.
That guy could have traveled the world, lived as high on the hog as another human being for having no other discernible skills other than I also speak Japanese and also English, and I can translate for this guy. The life of luxury, private jets, World Series parties,
rings.
You blew it. You blew it, man. You blew it. You don't get much better setup than that.
And if anything, probably is Also good news for Shohei in terms of all the people who think, well, he was the one who was gambling and Ippei was taking the fall. The timeline doesn't really support that anymore.
He never gambled.
If Ippei was not even gambling and was stealing the money beforehand, then it really kind of clears Shohei of, I would think, of any suspicion of any wrongdoing here.
Oh, man.
Ultimately.
What an idiot. This is a buffoon. This is buffoon behavior. Wow. That's hard to wrap my head around. I mean, you got it made, bro. So many people out there grinding every single day to try to make ends meet, and your ends are meeting like crazy with Shohei Ohtani just footing the bill. You're along for the ride.
Bro, you're hitting on 20 in blackjack.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Perfect, yes.
You have 2 10s. You're splitting 10s. What are you doing? No, take your 20 and take your win or your push and walk. It just doesn't make sense to me. That is just, you blew it. You blew it. Terrible.
I mean, most people will be so desperate to hold on to
that gig,
that gravy train that they've got going.
Yeah. You do anything to keep that.
They wouldn't risk anything.
That's so dumb. So short-sighted. Anyway.
Unbelievable. All right, we will hear from Major Garrett on all the Padres drama in the offseason and his thoughts on potential trades. CBS Washington chief correspondent and Padres fan-in-chief on the East Coast in our final segment of the week. Coming up next. First, though, Woodsy and I implore you, if you have not done so yet, take a little bit of time. Do it today. Do it this weekend when you have a few minutes and go to trustandwill.com and set up your legacy. Set up what you want to leave behind for your family and your kids. There are a few different ways to go about it, but whatever you do, you can avoid a lot of confusion, you can avoid a lot of hassle, and perhaps save a lot of money for your kids, your spouse, if you set this down just electronically in a few easy steps.
Yeah, creating a will ensures that your wishes are followed, not the state's. Protect your legacy by taking control. Do it today. Make sure that you get that trust as well. Probate, it keeps your family out of probate court. And the trust is the only thing that can do that. You can have a will, they still have to go to probate court. If you have a trust, they do not. So make sure you get that done. Almost 60% of families have some serious conflict when it comes to dividing assets when someone dies without a clear will or trust.
How about
make sure you get it done.
Minor children? Yeah, if something happened to both you and Hannah, do you spell out like who's going to take care of your kids?
You got
can
them.
do all of this online very simply. Again, use the code San Diego, all one word, when you go to trustandwill.com. Get 10% off and free shipping of your estate documents. You'll have them in hand. It's that peace of mind that you're looking for at trustandwill.com.
Yeah, do it today. Do it this weekend. Take control of your life and make it feels so good once you get it done. So again, trustandwill.com, 10% off plus free shipping your estate plans. Go to trustandwill.com. Use the code San Diego, one word, when you check out.
went on a rant earlier this week about people who form an opinion and then won't change their mind. And I said, I'm not that way. And Janine points out in the chat, as I said, I feel like the fact that Ippei was stealing from Shohei before the gambling even started, that's even more, exonerating Shohei. He didn't have anything to do with it. And she kind of points out that, well, maybe that's the other way around. If Shohei really wanted to start gambling and knows I can't do it, I'm a baseball player, well, let's just send the money to Ippei and make him do it and then make him take the fall for me. So I guess you're right. It doesn't really clear. If you still want to think Shohei was somehow nefariously involved, this doesn't change your opinion necessarily.
Janine is a generational hater, and that's why I love her. She's one of my favorite tier ones.
But
she's like me.
I will say, you're right. There's another way to look at that entirely, and I will not stand my ground.
Of course you won't.
I'm willing to
I wouldn't
change,
either on this
I'm
one.
willing to change my mind on that one.
I mean, facing the barrel of 5 years in federal prison, I'm probably rolling over on the guy if it's me.
I mean, unless obviously you've got a big payday on the way out.
But
how do you do that?
How do you do that?
Where did all your money come from after?
Right.
1 year after prison, you've got all this money. Where did it come from? They'll be looking closely at his accounts.
Yeah, he's not
he
just
owes
going to
Shohei $17 million or something.
Exactly.
All right. Don't forget the Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to 97.3 The Fan for at least 1 hour to earn your daily entry into our national contest. The grand prize is travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas' premium sports viewing destination where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim, plus $20,000 in cash. We'll check traffic one last time, and then out of traffic, our conversation with the great Major Garrett to wrap up our week here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
The crash has cleared on southbound 805 past Mesa College. The speeds are looking better there. However, we got a big rig up ahead right before Adams Avenue. A bunch of smoke coming out of the cab. Also, westbound 905 before Bayer Boulevard. There's an accident involving several vehicles. It's over the left shoulder. And now in the North County, getting reports of a collision on the Civic Center on-ramp to eastbound 78. Several vehicles involved in that tangle. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
As we go out to Major Garrett, first thing on everybody's mind from Washington is the incredible tragedy of the air crash earlier this week. Major, are you in Washington right now? Just what a horrible story that is.
Oh, yes. I'm in Washington, and on that, so Wednesday afternoon, flying back from New York, I landed at DCA on runway 33.
Oh.
I've landed on that runway, I don't know, probably 100, maybe 200 times in my career here in Washington. DCA, Reagan National, very popular, very congested, very safe airport historically. And then this massive, catastrophic tragedy just before 9 p.m. Wednesday night when a Black Hawk Army helicopter flying too high, it appears, above the normal prescribed 200 feet in that area, comes up underneath or in some way collides with the American Airlines flight out of Wichita on final approach, cleared by air traffic control for final approach. And 67 people gone. It's a devastating tragedy for everyone here in the region.
No question. And it really does put things in perspective. I mean, so far the beginning of the year, Major, has been massively about perspective. And I was talking to my eldest yesterday, who, he's got big feelings, and he's like, it's not going to get worse than it is right now. I go, buddy, look around you. There are people 90 miles north of you that don't have a home. They don't have all their stuff's gone. It's gone. And I said, it ain't that bad. It's just not that bad right now. And I think perspective has been much needed in the life of a Padres fan so far this year. It's been a tough one. It's been a murky one, Major, and it cast a bit of a shadow on the beginning of the season, which this is always all of our favorite time of year. Hope springs eternal, but this one, it's been a little murky.
Yeah, this one feels kind of deadening this off season. Not a lot to get your hopes up about. But to your point about perspective, look, I have a good number of friends in the LA area, and all of my friends, their homes survived. But if you read Bill Plaschke's column from a couple of weeks ago in the LA Times, his home survived in the Altadena fire. And if you read that column, it makes something clear that I'm not sure everyone captures, which is even a home that survives, quote unquote, in the fire zone has to be taken down to the studs.
Yeah.
Why? Because it is riddled with smoke. All the furniture has to be trashed. So, yes, your home survived, but not really. Even if you're a quote-unquote survivor, you are decimated. And the LA region is decimated and has been living not only with that tragedy, but the anxiety induced by winds and fears ever since. And I don't think that region will ever, anyone who lived through it or experienced this will ever forget that anxiety or put it aside.
Sure.
It will live with them forever. So in the grand scheme of things, as people in the sports industry will often tell you, they are in the toy department of life, which means it's discretionary, it's enjoyable, but it is not essential. The things that are essential, family, life, property, sustainability, and we've been reminded this very brutal month here in D.C. for sure, and in Southern California, how fragile all that is.
Talking to Major Garrett, we love him for his wisdom and his Padres passion. And one thing I really wanted to ask you, you cover powerful people for a living and have done it for a long time. And I wondered, obviously on a smaller scale, what we're doing here, what's going on kind of behind the scenes with the San Diego Padres. What advice do you have to us on how to cover like an issue like this? Because we found it's been difficult over the last few weeks, because we don't know all the facts. No. We're not privy to all the documents that are at play in this case, and we don't want to go, off the handle and say something that's incorrect or inaccurate. We also don't want to say nothing because it's such a big story. What's your advice on something like this?
It's really hard. I don't have pinpoint, precise advice other than to stick with what is in the public record, evaluate things placed in the public record, and do what you can to ask those who are placing those things in public record if there is a broader context that they can share and explain. This is a really hard situation. I remember being on the phone with you the morning that Peter died.
Yep.
And that to find ourselves here now is the place I least expected all Padre fans and all San Diegans to find themselves. In the midst of what is clearly a embittered dispute. There's no other way to describe it. This does not come into full public view with the allegations laid down in court papers unless there is deep bitterness behind it. It just doesn't. It simply doesn't. And that bitterness is somewhat concealed in the procedural language of legal documents.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be a detective to read between the lines, okay? There are hurt feelings here. There are expectations not met. And the bitterness that is arising from this now clouds the future of the greatest sports asset of America's finest city. Man, and that's a really tough place for all of us to be. And really tough place for all of us to be.
As you talked about the homes in L.A., you said something that just jumped out at me. And even the survivors' homes have to be, taken down to the studs. And I think that's the biggest fear of Padres fans who watched this team win 93 games last year, go to the playoffs, probably should have won the World Series if we're being honest. Nobody wants to see this team taken down to the studs. Nobody. And every single day you're putting on Major League Baseball's network and they're saying, "Hey, trade this generational superstar, Fernando Tatis Jr." I don't want to see this organization taken down to the studs. I fear that it could happen in the next few years. I hope it doesn't. I hope whoever it becomes the steward of the San Diego Padres. That's their number one goal, is to continue to try to fill Petco Park by putting good players on the field, by creating an atmosphere that was second to none in baseball last year, Major. I don't want it. I don't want to be a survivor. I don't want it ripped to the studs.
Right. No. And I've been a Padre fan since 1969. I know from fire sales. This is not a fire sale year. That's not what's happening. Players are being taken away, plucked away, because they're being offered more money than the club currently wants to allocate in their direction. This club, even if there hadn't been a dispute between the Seidler family, wasn't going to pay Jurickson Profar $42 million for 3 years. It just wasn't. Regardless of the legal papers filed back and forth and the teeth gnashing behind all the representations made therein. We still have a potent core of this team, really potent core of this team. But we all know that there are missing parts, and we would like to see some of those missing parts added. And we have to remind ourselves, AJ is pretty adept at that addition part in February and March, better than most GMs. Most GMs don't do that. He does. So I wait with expectation of what may come next. But you can't look, for example, at the catching situation and say, well, we've got that solved. We don't. We have someone we've lost complete confidence in and two aging veterans who may or may not have one last bit of lightning in the bottle. Wow, okay. That's not a huge confidence builder. Our rotation is iffy. The infield and outfield is pretty solid. There is a strong core of talent there. But you need a lot of other horses to go up against the Dodgers, the competitively better Giants, and the competitively better Diamondbacks. They've gotten better than we have in the offseason. So it's going to be a stretch. It's going to be hard. This is not as bleak an offseason as I've experienced in my long life as a Padre fan. I've seen far bleaker, so I want to make sure people will understand that. It's not as if this team is being destroyed. It's not as if we are selling off the key assets, but there is anxiety about what the intentions of the ownership group are. And they would do something, they would do themselves well, quite separate from this legal dispute, to be clearer and more emphatic about what their actual intentions are, and remind Padre fans that they're here to stay, as Peter always wanted this club to stay.
Does it make sense for Major Garrett, as a Padres fan, you hear the rumors, to trade either Dylan Cease or Michael King to try to address some of those, as you said, other needs, or does it make more sense to just hold on to those guys and fill in the margins with obviously, replacement type level players that aren't going to cost too much?
So I would not trade Michael King. I don't see any upside benefit for the Padres in that at all. He is far more competitively priced. The arbitration hearing, I don't think, will be that contentious. I know AJ prefers not to go in that direction, but that's the direction it's going to go. It'll be resolved. Dylan is more expensive, and if anything is going to sour a general manager on a promising player, it will be underperforming in the playoffs. And Dylan underperformed. He knows it. Everyone who watched him knows it. And that's something that GMs never forget. And so there's a great line about AJ that he falls in love with players and he falls out of love with players. I don't know if he's fallen out of love with Dylan, but the chances are greater that he has than he hasn't. So I would not be surprised if Dylan Cease were traded. I think there are parts of his game that are super attractive and could pull for us some really important component parts outside of our two absolute lead pipe cinch studs in the minor leagues, DeVries and Salas. It's pretty barren. We need a lot of help there. So these are calculations you have to make. They're hard calculations to make because you cannot play 162 games with a 3.5 person rotation. You just can't.
Well, you're making a lot of sense as usual. Major Garrett joins us this morning. And, you look for anything to bring a smile to your day. And I got to say, we were going to bring this up later, but I was on X yesterday scrolling around, and I saw just a little video that Fernando Tatis Jr. had posted. He's all smiles. He's walking next to Arise, and he's walking next to Crony. And he's like, we're back together, and everyone's smiling. Yep. And just for one fleeting second, I went, hell yeah. baseball's coming back. Players are so resilient. They really are. Like, they're so good at compartmentalizing and blocking out all the crap around them. Like, they're not moping. They want to go out and play and compete. And it gave me one little shred of like, okay, I'm excited. There's my guys. There's 3 of my favorites. They're walking together. They're grinning ear to ear. I'm back in. Here we go.
Right. And back to perspective. I don't. You do. You live in San Diego. An amazing, phenomenal place to live. A great, great, great place to live. Trust me. I live in Washington, D.C. Every time I tell anyone here where I grew up, they're like, oh, my God, what a great place. I'm like, yeah, it is a great place. Point 1. Point 2. Crony, Arise, Tatis, Manny, Bogarts, Merrill. That's a pretty good core.
It is.
Okay? That's not terrible.
It's not. You're trying to keep that perspective. I know. You're absolutely right.
And it's Petco, one of the greatest places to see a game in America.
On the planet.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it is. No doubt.
And the energy and the sense of devotion and the sense the players have to be in that building and to play for the fans and the rapport that's there night after night after night, most major league cities would give just about anything for that which we take for granted.
Once again, Major Garrett distills it down.
Again.
Clear-eyed, not overly panicked, but also not, starry-eyed either about the San Diego Padres. We always appreciate your perspective, Major, and appreciate your time anytime you can give it to us.
Always a pleasure, gents. Always a pleasure. It's been a hard week. It's been great to talk to you, and look for the bright side of things.
Thank you, Major.
Best
Appreciate
to you,
buddy.
Major Garrett, Chief Washington correspondent for CBS News and our Padres fan in chief on the East Coast. All right, back out live, and Nate Taylor in our chat says, wow, this guy is awesome. Glad you guys replayed it. I missed it earlier. Thank you. That was just for you, Nate.
Not for us at all.
I like hearing it again myself.
Me too. That was not for us at all to get a little breather at all.
The last hour of our 20 hours of radio week.
That's all for you guys.
He is really fantastic. There's no doubt about that.
He's one of the 3 we'll replay. He's fantastic. Hope to see you guys tomorrow at FanFest. We will be there. Coming out, say hello. We're going to be down the first base side, section 113-ish, broadcasting live. We got Crony coming on. Did we get done what we talked about doing yesterday, Paulie?
Sure did.
Look at that. What an icebreaker. You'll hear all about it tomorrow on the show. And we will also be joined by the skipper, Mike Schultz. See how his offseason's been.
Young Phantom, FTW, asks, will FanFest be like a funeral tomorrow?
I don't know. No, I don't think
to.
so. No, I think it's still going to be good.
Some people who decide not to go because they're not feeling it right now? Yes, that's true. But I think the people who show up at FanFest are there because, well,
they're fans.
They're fans, and they're excited to see their favorite players who will be there. And I imagine there will be a lot of excitement, and it's going to be a pretty good atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I don't want to go out there and work a funeral. I want to go out there, and I'm also not saying it's got to be some big party where everyone's popping bottles. It's okay to be reserved.
It won't be 2023.
No, nothing will. Nothing will ever come close to 2023.
You will, when you see Jake Cronenworth, when you see Manny Machado.
Yep.
You're going to smile and feel happy.
Yep.
Because I know I will.
I will too. And that's okay. That's okay.
It's absolutely okay.
Absolutely okay to be okay.
Don't feel bad about feeling good.
Right.
About FanFest tomorrow. The questions will remain on Sunday and Monday, and we'll still talk about those. But enjoy your FanFest.
Yep.
It's for you. You're the fans.
Take the kids out, do whatever. But, we'll be there tomorrow. We'd love to see you guys. Say hi, dap you up, give you a hug. Come give Ben huge hugs. He loves it. The hugging booth.
His favorite.
Tepid fist bumps is what I really enjoy.
Tight hugs.
Very tepid fist bumps.
Nope.
All right. Annie and Elson are standing by. They will carry you from 10 to 2. And then Gwen and Chris this afternoon from 2 to 6. We'll be back on Monday. We can talk, obviously, if the Padres make any moves. Got an Aztecs game tomorrow at 5 o'clock against Wyoming, and of course, Woods will have a complete wrap-up of the Pro Bowl games.
Actually looking forward to it.
From over the weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Shocker. All right, thank you to the Tier 1s. Had a very fun week. January, in the books. On to February we go. Paul Reindl is the executive producer and imaging director of the program. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great weekend from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.